Ah, there we go. Fucking A, finally.
Herself in the foot. Yeah. And I think people can do that.
Both feet.
Both feet.
But it's a kind of mixture of narcissism, hubris, and sort of a weird stubbornness that comes from being a big star.
I think for years she existed in the very old school world of Hollywood, which where lawyers and publicists and managers and agents were able to create a reality and sell it to people. That world is over, and I think she's finding that out now.
I also think people, they can smell a fake. They can smell inauthenticity.
Yes.
Again, coming back to why you're very popular, why this show I think does well, why Joe Rogan, people think we're authentic. Right? I get people saying, I may not always agree with you or even like you. It doesn't matter.
Right.
They don't care. They just think I'm true to myself.
Yeah.
I say what I think.
Right.
That's a powerful thing in a world where many people are quite afraid to say what they think.
Well, there's a penalty in certain cases. Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel you're restricted with your free speech when you're over here? Many Americans, fueled again by this weird sense of we've been run over, think that you can't say anything.
I'm concerned about, I don't feel personally restricted at all. I'm concerned about speech in general, and especially speech online. I think that people should be able to be, free to say things. Obviously, you can't threaten people. You can't dox people. There's rules that are laws that exist outside of the internet that would apply to the internet. I don't know. The answer is I don't really know how draconian these speech laws are. I've heard that they're different people that live here that they're not. That you really have to, it has to be a call to action.
I complain to X of it. Do very often because I don't really care. I've got nearly 9 million followers. You're going to get a lot of abuse. But it was an interesting. I wanted to test the X system because somebody called me a satanic paedophile, right? So I said to X, I'm reporting this for, false harassment or whatever criteria it was. And they said, we're launching an investigation.
Yeah.
And then they came back and said, we don't see any problem here. And I was like, what? Sorry, what?
Well,
the guy called me a satanic paedophile.
They've done the work.
You don't think this constitutes harassment?
They've done the work.
They'd be very concerned about the investigation.
Yeah, they've done the work, and they
found a picture of me in devil horns.
They found that everything is okay. You know what it is? You're going to get stuff like that. People are going to say stuff like that. I don't know where the line is drawn in the UK. I don't live here. I know some people here that they're not really tweeting or, they're not on X. So I don't really know, but I've heard that it is a bigger problem than...
Well, we've definitely had a bit of a problem. It's not as bad as people think. Most people caught up in that have been issuing direct threats to people or harassment or whatever. The one that got me was Graham Linehan, the Irish comedian.
Yes, right.
Who was actually arrested at Heathrow Airport by 5 armed police for jokes he posted on X months earlier about the trans issue or whatever. They weren't even that savage. They certainly wouldn't have been savage enough for a Kevin Hart roast. And he was frog marched away to a cell by 5 police officers.
See, that
to me was dystopian.
Is a real problem.
Yeah, I agree.
And perhaps a preview of what's to come.
If we're not careful.
If you're not careful.
Tim Dillon, thankfully, you're never too careful.
Piers Morgan, thank you so much.
It's been great having you. And great to meet you.
I love London.
Sorry
now I'm going to go
that.
get stabbed.
I was... It played for a second, and then for some reason, it cut off, and I had to completely restart a program and shit to figure it out. Man, I found full episodes of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. They stream live, and they have their own channel, Aqua Teen Hunger Force channel. Shit's like fucking dope. I love that show. Stay up with my friends and watch that shit. And this dude Lungs of Faith came out with a new one today.
Modern women aren't just destroying themselves, they're also destroying our civilization. That might sound offensive, but if we're going to talk about the collapse of birth rates, we need to do it honestly.
I was out here hating men before it became a thing.
If you want to have sex with someone else, also tell me about it, because I want to like see what she looks like and like ask you about it.
She got an abortion
guy's
after
an
the show.
Orthodox
I was like,
Christian. I
yes,
didn't
I
know
killed the
that.
performance, and then you killed it after the performance. Sorry, that's funny.
In order for a civilization to survive, you need two things. First, the birth rate needs to be somewhere around 2.1 children per woman. It's not even close. In countries like America, Canada, Poland, Germany, and the Czech Republic, the numbers are at critical levels. Second, to raise that birth rate, men need to actually be attracted to the women. They're not. But why is this happening? Just look at the top 3 podcasts young people are listening to. For young men, it's Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, and Diary of a CEO, self-improvement, comedy, discipline, health, money, and education. Meanwhile, for young women, it's Call Her Daddy, Giggly Squad, and Anything Goes, murder mysteries, or I'm a Gigantic Whore. The dark truth is that men and women are being formed in incompatible ways, and when we take a closer look at the media women are consuming and who's bankrolling it, it starts to make a bit more sense.
Looking like a baddie, I show up and make them stop.
Now, something we probably all noticed. Why is there suddenly this explosion of female BFF culture? The girl's girl ideology, the best friend who is basically treated like a spouse, the girl's trip to Europe, the matching
That's a little
outfits,
weird.
the expensive gifts, the soulmate language, the posts where a woman talks about her best friend with more emotional intensity than most people talk about marriage.
Can you tell who
Insurance.
wears the pants in our relationship?
We both wear the pants.
But it turns out that there's a term that helps describe this phenomenon. I meant female homosocial replacement. The anti-wife pipeline. The truth is, women are not merely replacing men romantically or economically. They're increasingly getting their emotional reality, moral framework, life advice, political instincts, and identity formation from other women.
If you have some f***ing friends that are prudes that are like, you should never kiss on the first date, you're gonna give them the wrong impression and they're just gonna think
What's
you're a
up with the
whore.
child? Like,
Okay, maybe for you,
Shit is
Cassandra, but I'm about to let him in my back door all night.
But let's rewind. For most of
Okay.
history, a woman's life had a pretty clear direction, focused on their intrinsic maternal instincts. You grow up, you mature, you get married, build a home, have children, become a mother, sacrifice yourself for something bigger than yourself. But now that path has been replaced with a new one. The husband gets replaced by the friend group. The home gets replaced by a girl's trip. The family gets replaced by brunch, Europe, therapy language, astrology, and self-discovery. Then by the time she
Therapy
says she
language.
wants marriage, men are no longer interested. Here's the data. It's a fact that women on average are now outpacing men in higher education. NCES reports that in fall 2021, women made up almost 60% of undergraduate enrollment, while men made up barely 40%. Pew reported that among Americans aged 25 to 34, 47% of women have a bachelor's degree or higher, compared with 37% of men. Okay, well, what's the problem? The problem is that those same women who are educated are no longer interested in men who aren't educated. And if more women are educated and less men are educated, you can see the problem. There's a seemingly linear correlation to a woman's education and what she expects from a man. Now here's where it gets interesting, because I'm about to expose to you the contradiction that nobody wants to talk about. AEI points out that 45% of college-educated single women say they're single largely because they can't find someone who meets their expectation. When you survey unmarried adults who actually desire marriage, the biggest reason they're still single isn't the economy. It's not divorce statistics. It's brutally simple. It's hard to find the right person to marry. That's 58%, the number one answer. But what are those expectations? Pew Research doubles down and shows the modern young female priority stack has shifted. 2/3 of all women 18 to 34 rate career as a major life priority, up from 56% in the late 90s, and basically zero before then. That's not a manosphere talking point, that's women saying that they can get their fix elsewhere, perhaps from friends, career, travel, and other women. And men are looking at this same equation and are seeing horrifying statistics. Among women ages 20 to 24, a large majority have already had multiple lifetime sexual partners. 28.8% reported 2 to 4, 23% reported 5 to 9, 8.6 reported 10 to 14, and almost 1% reported 40 sexual partners by the time they're 20 to 24. But the consequences are practical too. The higher the body count, the higher the rate of divorce, mental illness, and substance abuse, and it's dramatic. So it starts to make sense why young men are no longer interested in women or dating, because they see no prospects. Men are not only afraid of rejection, they are afraid of succeeding with the wrong woman. But it gets even more humiliating for the women. Dating in cities like New York has become so lopsided that some singles events have reportedly started charging women around $100 while letting men in for free just to balance the room. The Independent reported that some organizers now end up with rooms full of single women, competing for the attention of only a handful of men, while others have resorted to asking male friends or even random men off the street to come in just to even out the ratio. So this is where female homosocial replacement starts to make sense, and men don't want anything to do with it. But how did it get this bad? It becomes a lot more clear when we take a look at the advice and insane programming that these women are receiving.
Angry young men.
Far-right extremists.
Radicalize young men.
Young boys.
Young boys are being radicalized online.
Today, we
They're not
can't
the
go a
radical
single
ones,
day
though.
without
It's
being
crazy.
told that the male role models young men follow are toxic and misogynistic and radical. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, Fresh and Fit, the Red Pill, the Black Pill, the Manosphere. Every left-wing institution knows how to point at these guys and say, look, dangerous men, misogyny, aggression, extremism. And to be fair, as an Orthodox Christian myself, I have some serious problems with a lot of what they teach. I'm not here to baptize the manosphere, but the truth is we've all heard enough of that, and almost nobody wants to talk about the female influencer sphere, which is way worse and way more normalized and way more mainstream, far less criticized, and in many cases far more destructive. And it does all of this with pastel colors, therapy language, ring lights, and a smile, so it looks soft. But let's take a journey to the mysterious land of Foidistan. Make sure you have soap because you might need to take a shower after watching these. First, you have Shara7 and her entire sprinkle school of dating advice.
How do you make a man see you as a priority? Put
gross.
yourself as a priority. That's
Not
the
gonna
trick.
lie.
You don't make him see you as a priority. You are a priority to yourself. If you're on a date and they're looking at another woman, look at cars. Because a man can be cute and broke, and he knows where he's
God,
going
this
nowhere.
is so
But looking at
pathetic.
cars, it's totally
Look at
different. Oh my
cars.
God, look, there's a Bentley. I wonder who's driving that.
Listen to how
That way-
petty that is. I'm such a broke loser. You're such a broke loser. You know, communicate that to him by only focusing on money. Like, that's a good way to get somebody to walk away from you.
He sees. You're not looking at
Like, super low IQ, but super high in, what are they? Dark triad, super high in manipulative traits, super high, you know, in underhanded social. Ugh, it's just disgusting. It's like dirty. It's almost subhuman to me the way this woman's talking.
looks. You're looking at money. You want a woman to bring
Like,
something to the table.
this
go
isn't
out.
even a woman to my mind. This is just a highly bitchy human. Like, I don't associate these this attitude or these you know, these attitudes and this, you know, affect and way of, you know, stuff she's talking about. Women don't talk like this. This is how prostitutes talk, man.
Go to the restaurant where you can tip her, baby. Sprinkle. Because if I bring something to the table, you're gonna be mad. 'Cause it's gonna be another man who's gonna
Sprinkle,
not
sprinkle.
ask me to bring something to the table. He's gonna take care of the bill, them kids, and everybody else, and you if you look broke.
Dude sounds like a fucking sucker. Sounds like a duck. Any man who you know, he gonna take care of this, that, and the third. Yeah, because he's a fucking duck. He's a welcome mat. Like, bro, I'd rather die, man.
But most black women are overweight or obese. Well, you know why? Because you can't afford a gym membership for them.
See,
and they would
it's the
rather
man's fault.
than be with a broke man.
One of the most
Did you hear? She's fat because you can't afford a gym membership. Like, all right, keep telling yourself that. It's not going to get you a date any faster. It's not going to, you know, make it so that you're not fat.
influential lanes of female dating advice online. Her message is simple. Do not build with a man, but just benefit from him. Do not split bills. Do not be a builder woman.
And that whole, like, convincing women this is evil, because that's like the for sure way. That's like marriage repellent or man repellent. You know, to just focus on that stuff all the time. And women, they want to go out and fuck off for their 20s, and they expect, like I was saying this yesterday, like, now that's ridiculous. You know, if you want to get married and have kids, you should focus on that and do it, you know, spend your life trying to attain that. You don't focus on totally other stuff or going out and riding the carousel if you want a husband and kids. If that's what you want, if you have any idea that, okay, one day I'm going to want husband and kids, you should just focus on that. Because the whole carousel thing in your 20s, men don't want that, you know, like especially today, women, they keep saying this stuff like, why these men, they want us to chase them, this and that. No, it's like, no. It's not that they want you to chase them. They don't want you to chase them. That would be very effeminate of them. What they want is, they want you to show why you're worth the investment. Why are you worth the effort? Because the rest of these bitches, they're not. And if you want to separate yourself, you need to show that you're worth the investment, that you want to invest in me, and prove that to me. Because we've just had too many women just fucking around. Same thing with the women have with men. People wasting their time and stuff. And it costs us money to date a woman. It costs us a lot of fucking money. And if that's not an investment for a future family, then we're like, nah, fuck it. We're good. Like, nah, I'm good on that shit. I could just go get some, you know, equivalent slut to yourself that just wants to have a good time. You know, why would I pick your... Makes no sense. But it's not about wanting to be chased. It's absolutely about showing that you are serious, that you are a good investment, that you're not like the other women. You got to, you're women, they have to separate. Like, this is the deal. It took me a little while to figure it out because I feel the same way, but it's like they need to show a little more than just, and it, you know, I don't need them to pay for dates and stuff, but it's like, you know, I'm not going to go out of my way. You know, I'm just not. Like, you're going to have to show that, like, because women that take advantage, and most women, they don't go out of their way. So, and I've had too many of those, and it's like, I'm not willing to go out of my way. I'm not willing to, you know, step out, go out of my way, basically waste time, stop what I'm doing and go over to talk to you. No, you're going to have to get my attention. That's first things first, just to show that you're willing to do what is necessary. You're willing to invest. You're willing to go, you know, to work for it. I mean, it's not that I want to be chased, not at all. I just want to see the right stuff, you know, and I'm sure, you know, I would still ask women out, but it's like, they kind of just have to show that they're serious. And if they're not even willing to say hi to me, that's not, I mean, they're not very serious then, you know, because times change. This isn't 30 years ago. This isn't the 50s. Like, nah, that's not happening. And, you know, I don't have any problem providing and stuff and paying for stuff, but like, I got to see that you're like excited about it. Like, you know, you're not like being dragged to the restaurant or coming to the restaurant to get something out of it, get a meal or something. I've never had that happen, but you know, you got to set yourself apart. Like, and then I would totally be willing to pay for the first date. No questions asked. If a woman came up to me and broke the ice, like, oh man, she's in there like swimwear. I mean, seriously. And I guess that line is a little bit blurry because I've had women that were very obvious that they wanted me to ask that. Like, I mean, I could tell. I'm like, geez, she, you know, she's like really laying it on thick here. And I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it for some reason. And then, you know, I mean, today I probably, in that same situation, I probably would say something, but you know, it's like we need something more than just the same old cuck, simp, you know, begging and like, you know, like there's, you know, it's got to be reciprocal. Like, you got to play the game too. You know what I'm saying? This isn't fucking solitaire. You know, it's not me. Everything isn't on my shoulders. You need to take some responsibility. You want to have a husband and kids? You want to have a good man? Well, step up, do a little more, go a little bit more above and beyond. I mean, fuck. Introduce yourself. The shit isn't that hard. You don't have to ask me out. You just introduce yourself. Like all the shit, like, oh, you know, I'm afraid of rejection. That shit is a total fucking cop out for men and for women. That's a total cop out. Nobody's saying you have to go up in front of a group of people and say, oh my God, you're so good looking and this and that. And I want to, nah, but just introduce yourself. Something, put some effort forth. And putting on makeup and shit, nah, that's a non-starter. But I got to see some effort. You know, you got to like at least come out of your comfort zone, do something, or it's just not worth it. You know, it just, that's how it feels anyway. And you know, I'm not trying to be harsh or anything, but the times do change. You know, times do change. There was a time when, you know, women didn't have 40 bodies by the time they were 22 or 24. That's, times have changed. You know, we have to stick and move with the punches here, roll with the punches. You know, like he said in that thing, like he was saying the percentage of women at like 22 or 24 in their bodies, and there was like a small percentage that had over 40 bodies. Like, bro, yeah. Things have changed. You know, this isn't, you know, the dating market that my parents were operating under, or men that courted women were under. You know, if I was in high school, I would do the courting thing, but you know, like I'm not courting a 30-year-old woman. What are you, out of your fucking mind? Get out of here. Get out of town with that bullshit.
Do not sacrifice your youth helping a struggling man become successful. Just find a man who already has money, make him provide, and treat romance less like a covenant and more like a transaction. And this is not some tiny fringe corner of the internet, as much as I wish it was. This mindset has shaped an entire viral dating TikTok ecosystem where young women are being taught to avoid effort, stop building men up, and measure men primarily by what they can materially provide. But what makes it even more revealing is the hyper-religious language around it. The mantras, the manifestation talk, the hypergamy doctrine, the sprinkle catchphrase, the gospel of self-exaltation. It seems obviously more like a witchcraft cult disguised as dating advice.
Your subconscious mind is a higher power. Some people don't like to see themselves as divine. They don't want that responsibility. They just think, oh, that's the Lord. That's God right there. That's you. But if you like
this person, she's a really unwell person. Like seriously, that's the first thing that comes off to me is she's a really petty, mean, unwell person. Picks on people who believe in God. What the fuck do you believe in, bitch? Greenbacks? Really? You believe in lipstick and Gucci purses? Like, okay. You're gonna die with having a wasted life. Like, that's a fact.
give the credit and honor to another divine being outside of yourself. It's not really outside of yourself.
And that makes it make sense why it appeals to modern women's dating senses, where statistically now the fastest growing religion among Gen Z women is indeed also witchcraft. Now, I almost lost my mind while researching for the script, so please I ask all of you to kindly support the channel through buymeacoffee.com/lungsoffaith, because I am a one-man team and your support is what keeps me making this content. And something I do over here is that supporters at $50 plus a month and members now are listed as producers and have real input on topics for future episodes. Back to the plot. But it gets worse.
Decentering men.
How to actually decenter men.
Decenter men.
Decentering men is not a decision, it's a process.
How a woman can be married and decenter men.
How does decentering your husband fix your marriage?
But the reality is, men are draining by default.
Search Decenter Men on TikTok and take your pick from 30 million plus posts. Much of what you'll find takes the form of advice, and it sounds like this.
What they don't tell you about when you start decentering men in your life is that you'll stop being able to relate to so many people and so many different types of conversations.
That video is essentially talking about how, as a straight woman, when you decenter men from your life, it's very lonely because you can no longer participate in girlhood, heterosexual girlhood, in the same way, because so much of that revolves around men being at the center.
Men make up half a society. No shit, you can't just X them out of your life and expect to mingle like a Pringle with the other half. Like, nah, they're not having that shit. They like it's kind of ridiculous and absurd and a little bit childish. There's something that it just has this air of pettiness around it all. And it's like, if you're not careful, you're going to spend your life upset about a lot of petty shit. And at the end of your life, you're going to look back and say, geez, you know, I didn't spend enough time railing about how upset I was at the world. You know, like said nobody ever. Nobody says, geez, I wish I had spent more time fuming and seething about politics. You know, I didn't waste enough of my life on that. It's ridiculous.
Like on this pedestal. So when you take men off of that pedestal, you're kind of not just ostracized from men, but like your own community of women as well.
It's funny how that works, eh? It's almost like when women debase their own nature in order to make the imaginary evil patriarchy man upset, they face severe social and emotional consequences. And we'll see more of that in a bit. But this is the idea of female homosocial replacement in action. Modern women have been taught to build their deepest emotional bonds with other women while treating men as either threats, accessories, or financial utilities. All of that while their actual window for family quietly closes. But it becomes even more revealing when famous pop star Zara Larsson, whom I've never heard of by the way, goes on the biggest and most mentally deranged, insane female podcast in the world, Call Her Daddy, and accidentally explains what quote-unquote decentering men really turns into.
How have you like really managed to decenter men from your life? Can you give the girls listening like a little go-to guide?
Ooh. No, I only want to impress like the mean 13-year-old girls.
What?
You know what I mean? Like, that's who I want to impress.
Because apparently she doesn't want male approval anymore. No. She's transcended that. She's evolved past the male gaze. She is liberated. So now she wants approval from adolescent girls. Oh, and by the way, this is the same person who posted this on their story. I love immigrants. I love criminals. I love trans people. I love abortions. I love queers. I love slutty women. I love contraception, I love welfare, I love socialism, I effing hate ICE. And it's a pattern. There is a real phenomenon of famous feminist hyper-independent women giving young girls advice that is not just bad, but will make your soul leave your body.
How can I get him to stop caring that I was with guys before him? I feel like every single girl has a list of the guys she's ever been with. Like, how fun. I remember the men that have been inside of me, and I have a husband, and that's okay. This sounds like a really insecure or...
Notice how she started that up with, I feel like every woman. It's like, yeah, those are your feelings. That doesn't actually mean that it's so. Like, feelings aren't actually tangible to anything. There's no like direct correlation. And especially since they don't actually like take the time to be introspective and sort of investigate why they have a feeling. No, the feeling is good enough. That's all they need.
Possessive man. We've all lived, we've all had a good time, and if anything, everyone we've been with prior to has helped us become the person we are today. I think your answer next time he says that, if you were just being catty, is like, what do you want? What will make you feel better? You little
feel like stable in your heart, don't you? But how old are you actually?
Listen to this.
You're 16. Oh no, you got time. Let him fuck you up. No, I'm kidding. No, don't do that. I'm just saying, if you're 16, I feel like it's definitely a time where you're learning people and you're learning what you won't like and what you will like. So where would you say right now, like, how are you feeling? Would you say you're feeling quite sad? Would you say you're feeling angry? Or would you say you are horny?
Take a seat right over there.
Because that is the self-writing joke at the center of this whole ideology. These women will give TED Talk level speeches about not needing validation, not caring what men think, being free from external approval, becoming their most authentic self, and then immediately build their entire personality around being admired by the most emotionally unstable demographic on Earth. Teenage girls on the internet. Now, this is probably an example of their deranged maternal instincts that got redirected to the wrong thing. Now, you would think to yourself, oh, this is probably just a problem with Gen Z, younger women, because, you know, the older generations are wise and they've got all the wisdom and stuff. But that's where you're wrong.
Like, I collect human teeth. Let's talk about that. What's going on?
Well, so I've been collecting them for a while now.
Okay.
And I make art out of them. I have my cats had to get their little teeth taken out because they were, I don't know, their little kitty wisdom teeth. I'm like the tooth fairy.
And didn't fans like used to send you their teeth?
Yeah. No, they still do.
And did you ask for that?
Yes.
What? How did that come?
I tweeted it.
You said what?
Can you send me your teeth?
Just like, send me your teeth. Good morning. Hit me up.
Love you.
And what did you want to do with the teeth?
Well, so I make art, I make jewelry, I've made a crown, like a headdress, I made a belt.
After all, they must have gotten it from somewhere. Oh, and if that wasn't terrible enough, here's a podcast that got almost 1 million views where some boomer woman talks about how she doesn't mind if her husband sleeps with other women in the relationship, and then goes on to say how commitment and settling down is inherently a bad thing.
I'm not someone who likes to hook up when I'm in a relationship. I'm not really like, I don't really care about that. But I don't care if someone else were to. Hold on. In fact, I like kind of like it. It's a problem, I think. If a guy has a sexual connection with a girl and like he was to use protection and just have sex with her for a night, like I literally wouldn't care if my husband did that. I don't know why. I don't know why.
And keep in mind the whole time, the audience that this is intended for, teenage girls and young women.
But like send memes and stuff, I would be like, what the are you doing? If you develop feelings for someone else, tell me and we'll deal with it. Like, I just don't want to be blindsided. But if you want to have sex with someone else, also tell me about it, because I want to like see what she looks like and like ask you about it. He's done some stuff. Yeah. He probably wouldn't appreciate me elaborating on that, but like there's been interesting things that have been like really fun for me to like hear about and experience, and fun for him too, because you get older, he's 45, and I'm like, get out there, like know that you're a sexual being again. Gross. Like sometimes I'm like too busy to be really sexy, so I'm like, get out and get some attention.
Now, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not the boomers, maybe it's the boomers.
Just say so.
Yeah, no one can be as self-aware as us. Okay. I've started seeing someone seriously who's outside my religion, and I'm scared to tell my family. He feels like the one, but my family expects me to marry within our faith. How do I choose between their expectations and my own happiness? I think you have to choose your own happiness, because it's very possible your parents will never think anyone is enough, and you don't want to, have given up on a good person or waste time or whatever it is.
I'm a very strong believer that somebody you can have a wonderful man who's Catholic or Protestant or Muslim and marry a Jewish person or whatever if they both respect each other's faith.
Nope. They're also giving women terrible advice. Oh yeah, you can go marry whoever you want. At the end of the day, it's not a big... Mixed religion marriages are statistically proven to have lower shared commonalities, far more disagreement over children and values, and in several studies, lower marital stability. And they'll do the same thing with the you can be a boss babe or an OnlyFans girl, or you can be a mother, and they're all kind of the same, but you can kind of just think about it. There's consequences to all of them, and they're really kind of equal, as if the statistics aren't crystal clear that there is an obviously superior choice among those that will lead to higher happiness, fulfillment, and benefit society, which is by and large the traditional Christian family with a single earner and a mother who takes care of the children and the household. But that's only the tip of the iceberg, because things get way darker than that. If you want to see the final logical conclusion of this ideology, look at the women that culture now rewards the most.
You say your parents are really supportive of what you do, and people just don't believe you when you say that.
Yeah, so they were super supportive when I went into OnlyFans. They understand that it makes me really happy.
She's pregnant right now.
I'm not hurting anyone, I'm safe, so they thought, kind of, why not?
Because what society outwardly champions is a reflection of what society deeply believes. Bonnie Blue became globally infamous after claiming she slept with over 1,000 men in 12 hours. Lily Phillips became infamous after filming a stunt with 100 men in one day.
I'm Lily Phillips, and today I'm getting run through by 100 guys.
Remember how I said you might want to have soap nearby? These are not random underground figures anymore. They are mainstream internet personalities, some of the most popular podcast guests, debate topics, documentary subjects, and algorithmic celebrities. And then somehow the story gets even more revealing. In April 2026, OnlyFans creator Aria Kitsia spoke at Harvard Business School about her adult entertainment career and the business behind it.
I brought an OnlyFans star to Harvard Business School's campus, and I almost got expelled. I started following Aria Kitsia. I had no idea that she was on OnlyFans. I genuinely followed her because she was funny, beautiful, relatable. Once I learned more about her, I realized that this woman has built an insane marketing funnel. She has 10 million subscribers across platforms. Most of them woman. And she's converted many of these women to paid content on OnlyFans, which is rare. So many students showed up to meet her.
But not respected, being invited to teach a lecture at Harvard, not to mention she makes a business out of not only her prostitution, but has a stated goal of quote-unquote changing the public perception of her so-called profession, and constantly gaslights critics by claiming she sees nothing wrong with what she does. Now, if you're a father or a mother, or you plan on being one, think twice before you buy into the idea that you must send your daughter and sons to college. These institutions keep thriving because people keep sending them tuition money, and they stop being relevant the moment people stop treating them as such. But wait till we expose some of the suspicious funding behind these figures and podcasts, just to show you how much money institutions are pouring into this programming. 2 and 2 will click. But the psychological consequences of this on women are far worse than we could have ever imagined. And we can't ignore this, because maybe you're watching and you're telling yourself these publicity stunts are just tiny fringe statistics that get way too much attention on the internet. Most women are probably not doing this. Well, it's time to sober up. Newsweek covered reporting that estimated roughly 1.4 million American women are creating on OnlyFans, amounting to about 14% of all women aged 18 to 24. Think about what that means. This is not a handful of fringe porn stars in Los Angeles anymore. This is ordinary women, college girls, co-workers, classmates, and girls from your hometown being pulled into a digital sex economy where the average creator reportedly makes only about $131 a month. So the story is not women are getting rich. The story is much darker. Look at what happens to women inside the sex industry. Across studies, sex workers show dramatically elevated rates of anxiety, depression, PTSD, substance abuse, and suicidal ideation compared with the general population. Anxiety, around 58% amongst sex workers compared to 31% in the general population. Depression, about 68% among sex workers compared with 18% general population. PTSD, around 72% compared with roughly 6% of the general population. That is astronomically higher than even Army veterans, who are falling at about 7%. Substance abuse around 85% compared with 17%, and suicidal ideation around 86% compared with about 5% of the general population. Even allowing for variation between studies, the pattern is undeniable. And the thing is, because feminists can't provide a logical account for knowledge, morality, or ethics, they have to support this stuff. If you support first, second, third wave feminism, you have to defend this stuff as good. There's no consistent way to be a feminist and to be against the porn industry, because the porn industry is the logical conclusion of feminism. That's why you never see feminists come out and speak against this stuff. Meanwhile, they have no problem coming after the manosphere. But the thing is, this doesn't only apply to professional porn performers or prostitutes. The wider sexual culture today, especially on these podcasts, trains ordinary women to imitate the logic of the sex industry. Detach sex from covenant, detach the body from the soul, detach intimacy from responsibility, and then wonder why everybody is anxious, depressed, dissociated, medicated, with higher PTSD rates than Army veterans, and unable to pair bond. A Dundon longitudinal cohort study found that women with 2.5 or more sexual partners per year had far higher odds of later substance dependence than women with 0 or 1 partner. Now, as we saw those statistics before, 2.5 is on the low end of the average spectrum for most women today between the ages of 20 and 24. 9.6 times higher at the age of 21, 7.3 times higher at age 26, and 17.5 times higher at age 32, even after adjusting for prior mental health and substance abuse problems. In plain English, it's dose-dependent odds. And this is where the leftist critique becomes hilarious, because when Christians defend traditional family, they say, of course you believe that. You're religious. When doctors defend certain medical treatments, they say, of course you believe that. Big pharma profits from it. When missionaries talk about health, family, fertility, or morality, they say, of course you believe that. You have an agenda. But if a massive food corporation, NGO, pharmaceutical lobby, or big tech platform says the same thing in progressive language, suddenly it's public health. They don't hate propaganda. They hate rival authority. But before anybody says, well, it's just entertainment, understand what this really is. This is not just girls talking into microphones. This is massive commercial formation. Industries built around emotional lives of young women, our future generations. The amount of money these podcasts are bringing in is unheard of. Call Her Daddy went from Barstool to a reported $60 million Spotify deal, and then to a Sirius XM deal reportedly worth up to $125 $25 million. And this is where it gets interesting, because SiriusXM is not some little random podcast company. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, has become SiriusXM's largest shareholder, with reports placing its stake above 35%. Buffett himself has openly promoted and stood behind the economic quote-unquote unleashing of women, and has been openly pro-feminist, funding and being part of multiple feminist NGOs. Is it entirely possible that there is motivation behind the message and the podcast they're choosing to promote? Well, it does tie into my broader thesis and philosophy of the female homosocial replacement, where women are separated from husbands and home life, so-called freeing them to be a part of the labor force.
Everybody, I mean, the potential of humans is we haven't come close to scratching it even, you know, and look what's happened since 1776, most of the time using half our talent. I mean, just imagine what's going to happen.
You hear this, mother? Dude, this is a straight up shark. This is an evil human being. The almighty dollar. Crush, step on, climb over as many human beings as possible, as you have to make as much money as possible. Who cares if you're ruining half of the country's life? Who cares if you're stealing, you know, joy and satisfaction and meaning out of people's lives? Just so long as graph go up, man. Fuck these people.
100%.
These are the people that are literally at fault for what we're in right now. They were so concerned with tapping that untapped labor force. Look what we've done since the 18th century, and we only did it with half our talent. Yeah, because we need the other half to raise our fucking children, dude. Yeah, your life was great, man, but thanks for ruining ours, you scumbag. Go back to fucking Nebraska, you loser.
To make a bit more sense on why they want women in the labor force so badly. But before men get too comfortable, the manosphere is also lying to you. Yes, a lot of these guys have the right diagnosis. They can see the collapse of dating, marriage, birth rates, masculinity, femininity, chastity, fatherhood, motherhood, and the family. And I totally agree with most of that stuff, and I can see the appeal. But diagnosis itself is not going to do anything for you, really.
The root cause of all of the world's problems, that there's not enough men who walk around their houses with swords.
And it's not salvation. The manosphere can tell men that something is wrong, but it cannot tell them what man is for.
The stuff that Andrew Tate talks about and the things he says, it's low IQ, man. It's low IQ. Dude just said the Western civilization fell because not enough men walk around their house with swords. Like, bro, what are you, 3 years old, motherfucker? Dude, that's the kind of an idea that a midwit 3-year-old thinks of, bro. Like, straight up, man. That is some midwit shit right there. And that's the thing I have with, like, I don't mind, you know, he's got, you know, he's got the right feeling. I could tell that, you know, he senses the same stuff we do, but his prescription is just low IQ stupidity, man. It's like, oh, things are, you know, different than they used to be. They're turned against me. So I'm just gonna become a low IQ troglodyte that, you know, fucking has a harem and shit, like, you know, beats up on women and thinks it's cool when you beat up on women, thinks it's cool when you have a harem or a harem. Bro, that shit is not cool, man. That shit is low IQ, bro. Like, pee feel good. That's all that dude thinks about, man. Pee feel good. That's Andrew Tate in a nutshell. He's not a stupid guy, but it's just like, he's so caught up in how big and tough he looks. And obviously, you know, he's compensating for something his dad wasn't around. So, you know, he's got this machismo going on, and it doesn't impress me. It's the opposite. It makes him look childish. To me, anyway.
Except it does, and often it just tells you to become a man whore, sleep around with tons of women, spin plates.
And I have nothing against women as a whole. In fact, I have a bunch of women.
And there is a level of pimpery you can attain,
like, and that's the problem.
You can literally.
He thinks, like, he has a problem with his own image. He has problems with the world, and he thinks that having a bunch of women fixes that problem or negates that problem. It cancels it out. Like, bro, I don't know. It's just, you know, you can only, like, those good feelings. Oh, my pee-pee feel good. You can only experience that so many times in your life, and it feels the exact same every time. You know, like, I don't know. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it, bro. And maybe that's why I was able to fucking walk away from dope, man. But, and so many other people weren't. But I mean, I don't know, man. There's just not a whole lot to that shit. And it's like so unfulfilling. And most men grow out of it because they realize that it's like, yeah, this isn't really all it's cracked up to be. You know, this is kind of like an 18, 20-year-old kid's game here. You know, this isn't a grown man's game. This is a children's game.
Really have a harem of females.
Or just simply give up and coast for the rest of your life. Who cares? None of it matters anyways. Just evolves into pure nihilism.
I'm saying that they shouldn't really be concerning themselves with trying to change the tide of society.
And this is the problem with secularism in general. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but atheism, materialism, and every false religion ultimately fail to ground the very moral arguments they want to make. Why is chastity sacred? Why is marriage holy? Why is the body not just a machine? Why are we not just animals? Why is pornography evil and beyond personal preference? Why should a man love one woman for life instead of optimizing for pleasure, status, and power? I mean, objectively, societies functioned better when that happened, but the truth is that atheism and secularism don't actually give an account for this, because fundamentally their worldview devolves to nothing. At best, we're a bunch of space dust colliding in space, and, you know, just things are happening and stardust is moving around. So, I mean, if that's your worldview, then how are you even upset about any of this stuff? At least admit you're not being consistent. But the reason so many young men today are coming back to the church, to Orthodox Christianity, is because Christianity fundamentally makes sense. It doesn't just make the right diagnosis, it also gives the fullness of the solution, and the whole Christian paradigm explains all of these problems that we're seeing, and it gives the antidote. Because if you look at how we really got to where we are now, feminism built a parallel society gradually, underground, universities, media, NGOs, schools, podcasts, influencers, therapy, language, and entertainment. It promised a lot. It promised liberation, autonomy, empowerment. It used a lot of nice language, sexual freedom, and endless choices. Choice. And I have a video that goes a lot more into detail of that you should watch. And now that world is caving in on itself, and I think everybody who's honest with themselves can see that. We have to take advantage of this moment, and we have to build. Now, before people get excited, as an Orthodox Christian, I do not believe that this movement starts with some crusade fantasies or online rage. I think that's just controlled opposition, and honestly, it's just a pipe dream. Especially when the Catholic Pope, who once led tons of crusades, now says that there's no such thing as a just war, and that God doesn't hear the prayers of warmongers, even though he led tons of crusades and tons of wars and had his own standing army. I digress. It starts with repentance. It starts with ourselves, and from there, we build schools, charities, organizations, media, businesses, parishes, and homes that actually form people. This is why Christ tells us not to forget the poor. Not only the financially poor, but the spiritually poor. Children starving for fathers, men starving for purpose, women starving for formation and protection, families are starving for community, and young people starving for truth. And the hopeful thing is, Christianity is already re-entering the mainstream. But attention is not enough. The next step is institution building, meaning you guys watching this should be doing something today, even small steps, because the future will not belong to whoever has the best takes and the most based opinions. It will belong to whoever can form children, sustain families, build communities, and preserve the faith across generations. If you're a man looking for a purpose, which you probably are, then a good place to start is seeking to do God's will every single day in the small things and follow his commandment.
It's funny you laugh about that, Degar, but that used to be like a stereotype or like a cliche. Balding movie producer, you know, with the little teeny ponytail and the little Coke shooter that he sniffs out of with the blonde chick and his red Ferrari. You know, I mean, that was like a thing. And they always had like the unbuttoned top buttons, unbuttons to their chest shows and shit. Just total losers, man. Total fucking losers. Something on here that I wanted to show you guys. Oh, look at this shit. Mark Levin. All the cockroaches are out in the light. Bro, he's calling Ron Paul a cockroach. That's like psychotic, man. Bro, Ron Paul is like the most genuine, most caring. He's a doctor. You know, he has bedside manner. And it just goes to show you that these Zionists, they don't care if, like, they smear everybody. Even this guy just wants to get the America out of debt, but he's a cockroach to Mark Levin. Isn't that wild? Like, what a fucking psycho, man. Total psycho. I think I bookmarked it or I replied to it. There was something that was really, I had it on the tip of my tongue earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt shit. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Check this shit out, man. Which, like, check, says, 2 children, 2 protests. One was taught to love their country, the other was taught to hate. Then this jerk off jumps on. Hating Nazis is like the best thing to teach a kid. Which one of these kids looks happier to you? Which one of these kids look like they're actually enjoying a fruitful life? And which one of them looks like them and their parents spend their entire lives seething, like almost like ready to explode with anger and focusing on everybody else? Because that's what these psychotic liberals do. They're legitimate Nazis. I mean, they're just like the Nazis and these losers that spend their whole lives hating people just to hate them. They waste their whole lives hating people, like being nosy, judging everybody around them, sticking their nose into judging everybody, calling them names, holy art than thou, sitting like. And then then you get the regular people who just live their lives. They're not nosy. They don't spend their time judging other people. They spend their lives enjoying the company of the people that they love and doing fun things with the people they love. That's what it looks like on the left to me. The right, these people are as bad. I mean, they're the same as the white supremacists in the South that would show up to those, the marches and shit and just attack people out of anger. They don't even know why they're doing it, but they're just attacking people. Bro, that's what these liberals are, bro. They've been turned into monsters. They've been turned into the same thing that they used to shame people for, like the bigots, KKK people, and that would show up and, fight and attack. You know what I'm saying? And they don't even know why they hate. They just hate. That's what's going on the left. This fuck off Nazis. Bro, look how she looks homeless, man. The kid looks homeless. The kid looks miserable. The hair is fucked up. They're dressed like shit. The other kid looks so wholesome, sweet little girl, beautiful, combed hair, loves her country, happy to be there, happy to be around her community. The other one looks like an absolute disease of a fucking human being. Like that anybody that knows those people is fucking miserable because of those people. Like, look how miserable they've made their kid. Like this liberalism shit, it's gotten out of control. Somebody needs to pull these people aside and say, yo, like, point back at their past behavior and say, man, is that how you want to spend your rest of your life? Just hating to hate? Just hating to hate? No, hating people that have done nothing to you or anybody else, haven't hurt anyone, haven't stolen from anyone, but you're going to spend your entire life in hate? Fuck, man, we're doomed if this shit just keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, it's so sad. That is so sad. When I saw this picture, like my entire day has been colored by this. It keeps reappearing in my head, and I just can't help it. This is a tragedy, bro. This is like a Greek tragedy. This picture, this contrast, it's so sad, man. This guy had it, or this woman had it pegged on the button. One was taught to love their country, the other one was taught to hate. And it's not they hate their country. No, they just hate other people. And they want to make other people's lives miserable. It's like they're so miserable that they spend and they want to be miserable. They want to be seething. And this side by side is all you have to see. This is all you have to see, man. And which one would you rather be, bro? Which one would y'all rather be? The one that's carrying around cardboard with fucking swastikas on it. Oh, it says heart equals LUV, but right next to that is a fucking swastika. Yo, at some point, it looks less like you're fighting Nazis and more like you just are a fucking Nazi. Like, straight up, man. You know, like, really, these people are Nazis. It's gotten so out of control that they have, like, grown into this cliche. You know, rather than hating Jews, they just hate everybody else. But they are, I mean, and what do you call somebody who constantly is carrying around shit with swastikas, constantly accusing everybody else of being not, like, bro, it's not that it's projection, but there's something pathological there that's not normal. It's not normal, and it's not healthy. And it just starts, it increasingly comes off as super unhinged. And like, they're just, that they've just devolved and spiraled into being what they thought they were fighting against. It's such a shame. Like, I feel bad for this kid. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. You know, and these people, these liberals, like when Trump won, you know, there was that one where their kids are like, oh, you can just hear that after she tells them that Trump won, that she like took pleasure in hurting the children, making them cry and making them scared that Trump got elected. She's like, her and her husband are taking fucking pleasure in making all their children that were below the age of 10, making them all scared, like trembling, scared and crying. And I'm just, you know, it hurt to see that. It was like, I just wanted to hurt those parents. Like, how dare you do that? Like, that's so evil. It's as bad as Jeffrey Epstein, if you ask me. I mean, that shit is, who preys on children? It reminds me of Hocus Pocus, sucking the souls out of children and shit. That's what that's like to me. These sick psycho liberals. They're holier than thou. They're all academics and shit. And they like feed off of their own children's souls, man. And it's so creepy. It's so disgusting, to say the least. And I watched this guy, called, I think it's Poor Man's Podcast. And it was all about how girls are skipping the tween years, the preteen years, and going right, like, I guess Kanye's daughter, just like Kanye warned, that's happening to her. And it's happening all over the country. But I just kind of wanted to see what, because I noticed something about it. And I kind of wanted to see what you guys, you know, if you guys noticed. It seemed odd to you guys too.
Kids today look grown and adult women are normalizing it. Yeah, but what I think is even more weird is the fact that if you try to call it out, they'll try to make it seem like you're sus for trying to protect the kids. Meanwhile, I personally think if you're a grown adult and you're trying to make it seem like it's okay for a 14-year-old to act like and to dress like a 22-year-old, I think that you're the one that's sus.
The death of tween and teen media has me so sad because all these kids are acting like they're 25.
I
look better than your man,
8th grade.
sister, your family.
Wow.
Challenge. Take a shot
disgusting.
every time you see a dad not in the video. You'll be I guarantee you'll be blasted within 4 minutes of this video. Take a shot every time you don't see a father in one of these clips. She has a hand tattoo in 8th grade. There's no reason you should be dressed like this. This is completely out of pocket. Take a shot every time you don't see a dad in a clip.
Yeah, in high school. I'm in high school. You need to calm down.
I think it's insane how some 17-year-olds look older than 30-year-olds these days.
Dude.
Like, realistically, these girls nowadays look so much older than even me.
Can we stop normalizing 10-year-olds?
And that's why they're not even, they're hitting the wall and they're not even 30 yet. They're hitting the wall at like 26 now, bro. And it makes sense. Like, this shit is crazy, man. Crazy.
You're 25. Like, I used to look like this when I was like 9 or 10.
I think we lost the plot when kids stopped dressing like this.
Yeah.
JT lip combo.
Yeah. Look. Kanye was right. Now hear me out. I'm not saying he was right about everything, but he was definitely right about some things. And when it came to him being a father, trying to protect his daughter, especially from a family where everybody got all these sex tapes, everybody single mothers, everybody got all this plastic surgery. I think that some of his concerns as a father was reasonable. He may have said other crazy things, but when it come down to the protection of your daughter, he was right about some things. He wasn't right about everything, is all I'm saying. And he was definitely right about this situation.
Girls. You guys decided to post pictures of hairstyles that you deemed age appropriate for 11-year-old girls because you felt that the styles and the barrettes that they had in their hair was just too pubescent. Because God forbid that a child be just too childish. Right. God forbid that children be children, right? No, not in this society, not in this new day and age. A child being a child? Oh no, that's unheard of.
Unfortunately, y'all hate on Northwest because y'all parents were wage slaves that couldn't afford to allow y'all to explore self-expression.
Retard brain. This is where you start using the vocabulary. Self-expression. This is not self-expression. This is sexualization. And if you think that how some of these young ladies are dressed is self-expression, they need to find a different way to express themselves. I'm sorry that my parents had a job. I wouldn't necessarily call them wage slaves. I'm sorry that they had a job. Sure, we had to wear hand-me-downs when I was growing up. I don't even think hand-me-downs even exist as an idea anymore. When I was growing up, you had a pair of South Pole jeans. You pass them down to your little brother. I was always the little brother, and I was the run out of the group. So by the time I got the jeans, I had to cuff them up 3 or 4 times. I'm sorry that we had hand-me-downs. Some people had to patch up their clothes. Our parents weren't necessarily wage slaves, but those times built character. And I can guarantee you right now, if any of my sisters thought that any of this type of stuff that we've seen so far in this video was self-expression, my dad would have told them to find a different way to express themselves.
Today's world, young girls have increasingly started to look grown beyond their years. And the real question is, why are we enabling it? And by we...
And I love everything they're doing with Northwest. I truly do. She's very expressive. Go ahead, girl.
I mean some of y'all. Let's rewind the clock just a little bit. As young girls and preteens, how many times did some of us impulsively decide that we wanted to get face piercings or a tattoo sleeve? But then the sparkles in our eyes quickly faded because our parents and caregivers just wouldn't allow it. Or we tried going to the mall in an outfit we had no business putting together at 14.
Wait, hold on, y'all.
I'm 14. And it never saw the light of day because, again, our parents wouldn't allow it. Or we tried a makeup look that never left the reflection in our bedroom vanity because our parents wouldn't allow it. Right. And with each of these moments, we may have wished to be older, to express ourselves without constraint.
Yeah, but it's like parents understood that the world ain't sunshine and rainbows, and just because you want to do something don't mean you can do it, especially if you're living under somebody's roof. And here's the thing, like when it comes to this type of stuff, the reason why there were different dress codes for like different age groups was because you wanted to see younger people as a protected class. You wanted to completely separate the younger people from the older people and made it visually obvious so that there wouldn't be no mix-up. And you had no excuses for no mix-up. But nowadays, with all of that stuff kind of merging, it's getting a little bit weird.
And honestly, all this shit is moot. I didn't even hit puberty till I was like 14. So this shit is moot. These girls dressing up like fucking grown women, the boys their age ain't even hit puberty yet. They're dressing up so they can get fucked by adults and shit. So this is a problem. This is some disgusting shit. And honestly, anybody with a brain could see that it was leading to this. You know, we have these crazy like consent laws and shit, but no. That was just them putting on an act. It was always leading to this. It was always leading to this. It just took them a little while to get there. This has always been a stop that was going to be on the trip. You know, and who knows if we can even come back from it. Like these girls are basically jumping from their childhood directly into intersexual dynamics. You know, like these women are competing for adult males' attention. Like I said, most guys, the guys their age haven't hit puberty or aren't mature enough yet to where they even have the balls to, they even have the gumption to do it. Like, this is not good. This is not good at all. And also, did anybody notice that every single one of these examples is a colored girl? I don't think that this is a problem in the white community. Not like trying to, badmouth anybody, but like, I pretty sure like me and my little brother went to a coffee shop a weekend or two ago, and we stopped into a Starbucks, or no, we went and did something else. We stopped into a Starbucks to get a cup of Joe, and there was a guy, he was probably 30, maybe 35, white dude, and he had 3 girls with him, and they were all between 12 and 16. And they were wearing these white dresses. They looked like some kind of a church outfit. They were white dresses, and each of them had a different color sash that was tied around their waist. And I mean, it was ridiculous. Like all 3 of them were just looking at me giggling, and she looking at me and my brother giggling and shit. but they were all like really young, but they were with their dad, and they were actually like not dressed like this. I mean, like they were very attractive, but you could tell they were young, and they were still like little girls hanging out together, And I just didn't get this slutty, I didn't get the slutty vibes from it. The girls, they were just kind of like being young girls, sweet young girls, just kind of giggly and funny and positive, bubbly. Where these girls, it's just some straight up prostitute shit, and it doesn't surprise me. None of them don't have no fathers.
Right, there are some of these young ladies in this video that are dressed completely inappropriate, in my opinion.
That thought quickly faded the second we turned on Disney Channel and we were reminded to be kids.
You're a woman. No, I'm not. I'm not a woman. I'm 16 years old.
Back in the day, we grew into women at a really slow pace. But what happens when that timeline gets cut short and all of a sudden that last chance at being a kid disappears? The era of the preteen is basically non-existent and social media has replaced it. And because of it, young girls are being influenced to look and act way older than they are. But it gets worse because actual grown women are encouraging it and justifying it under this idea of self-expression, trying to heal their inner child.
Northwest is literally living out a lot of our dreams
at the expense of actual children. We need to talk about it. Let's get started with today's video. How is up? Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melinda, and if this is your first time stumbling upon my channel or seeing my face, welcome. Feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to join this community, but like I will always say, you can make that decision at the very end of this video. But with all that being said, before we can even dive into the very significant issue of young girls looking way older than they actually are, we need to go back in time. Back in the mid 2000s and the early 2010s, being a kid, enjoying kid things, and most importantly looking like a kid was encouraged. I'm an O2, so
that's like literally the best time in your life. You have absolutely no responsibilities, and don't rush to be an adult, because once you start getting those responsibilities, there's more of them. Once they start, they don't ever stop, and you get more of them.
Yeah.
And you can never go back.
You don't want to rush too quick.
Don't run into adulthood thinking that everything is sunshine and rainbows over here because you think you have freedom, because you find out that by the time you get to this age, this freedom that you think you have don't really exist because you end up working for a living. So all that time, bro. All that free time you think you're going to have to do things, you don't. And even if you do get any free time, you spend it getting sleep because you don't have the energy to do the stuff that you would even want to do in the first place. So do not speed run the best time in life trying to get to this part of life, because there are people that get to this point in life and then they try to buy back the nostalgia of being a younger person.
You're supposed to chill out and enjoy your high school years. Enjoy the dating, enjoy the the fun of it, the sex, the dancing, enjoy all of it, while you're still a kid. Like, I remember my brother saying that to me, like, bro, don't be in such a hurry to get out of high school, man. And he was right, honestly, too.
One of the best ways to relive that nostalgia is having kids and introducing them to the things that you love when you were younger. I don't think as a grown, especially a man, you should ever be chasing the same type of happiness you may have felt as a kid, because, that's just unrealistic. But the closest thing you damn near get to it is when you get to show your kids the things that you enjoyed as a kid. So that is the best time in life. Soak that up while you can. There's no reason to try to get to the other side. Trust me.
It's the target age demographic that corporations and companies spoiled growing up. Child-friendly forms of entertainment and preteen media existed at such a large scale. For example, the Disney franchise that dominated in the early 2000s up until the early 2010s, with a variety of popular TV shows and movies that left a lasting imprint on so many of us. As children, and especially as young girls, we had so many child stars to look up to. I mean, from Hannah Montana to Alex Russo in Wizards of Waverly Place, Raven in That's So Raven.
Bro, That's So Raven. Like, at this time, they just had so many good ideas for shows, bro. Like, just think about it. You have, like, this teenager who can see the future, but every time she tries to prevent her vision from happening, the thing she does to prevent it actually makes it happen. Like, bro, That's So Raven was like a whole other... That was an amazing show when I was growing up. Everybody did a good... Now, as adults, many of the cast, they went crazy because that tends to happen to some of these Disney Channel people. But I must say, I mean, God tier idea for a show. Definitely a great, like, you have this superpower, but it really sucks to have because every time you try to prevent it, it actually causes the thing to happen in the first place. Like, great show idea.
Rocky and Cece in Shake It Up. I mean, the list goes on and on. These ladies, just to name a few, inspired us and became a part of our blueprint to fashion, style, beauty, and sometimes even our personalities.
Squint and run. No, I don't run.
Some of us even played with Barbies and Bratz dolls. I was Team Bratz over
They think
here,
it's
and we watched
whimsical.
their movies and series, allowing us to experience a whole other universe. Bratz may have been a little bit controversial with how they were styled, but as a young girl, I knew that dressing like Sasha would only come at a later period in my life. I was in no rush whatsoever.
Yes, bro. I used to play Pokemon. Me and my brother would do chores and like mow lawns and stuff throughout the summer to buy the newest Pokemon games that came out every summer. And I'm telling you right now,
Can we get
Game
some of the
Boy
lights
SD,
up, fellas?
the one where you finally got the light on it, you could press the button for the light that was in the middle. Leaf Green, Fire Red. I was playing the one with Rayquaza, Emerald. Oh my
Emerald.
goodness, bro. Bro, I was all
I
over
played all them shits. I played red, blue, yellow, silver, gold, crystal, ruby, sapphire, emerald, then what was it? I think fire red, leaf green, and I went all the way up to pearl and diamond on the DS. But I played every one of those games since I was in like 3rd grade. Started playing like, I remember I got red and blue for my birthday. I got both of them.
those games. Man, you couldn't tell me that I
3rd
spent
grade.
an unfathomable amount of my childhood leveling up Pokemon. Probably
I went
too
to
much.
tournaments and shit. My parents would surprise, like at one time they surprised me. We went to Gatorland and they were having a Pokemon tournament for red and blue. And some kid tried to cheat me and everything, and I still beat the motherfucker. But yeah, my parents would do shit like that though. Surprise me. I didn't even know what it was. I always brought my shit with me, so we pulled up. It was like the day the yellow version came out too. Some of the kids there had it, and I was like, what the fuck? How do you have Anyway, I digress.
I'm leveling up Pokemon, but I would play the game outside, so I was still outside. Like I was an outdoor kid, bro. But this was like some of the best times in life. Everything was just so carefree. You just had time and energy to burn.
Man, my dad really hated I played my Game Boy like all day, every day. It got to the point where he started taking that shit from me after school, like taking it and forced. It sucked, man. It really sucked, but like he just didn't think it was healthy, I guess, and he just would take that shit after I spent so much time on it.
And to spend on whatever you wanted.
Then, our version of doomscrolling was through teen magazines like Popstar, M Magazine, just to name a few.
I was
We
never a
read our
magazine guy.
horoscopes, did quizzes, gained the inside scoop on age-appropriate pop culture drama, and so on and so on. Fast forwarding to our preteen years, we shopped at the mall with friends, looking for trendy outfits in our favorite teen stores. Here in Canada, the place to be was Garage Clothing, and it strictly targeted the youth. They even went as far as selling candy at checkout. However, today...
Oh yeah, I don't want to go further into this. Kind of sucks of this, but what she's about to say, and I noticed this too, all those preteen stores, they started getting more and more sexualized. When I was in high school, they like Claire's, it sold like belly button rings and fucking piercings and cheap jewelry, and you know, pretty clothes, I guess, pretty outfits. And then they just got more. Like when I was in 9th grade, I remember my dad dropping me off in the morning after we would work out at like 5 in the morning at the YMCA. And then he would take me straight to school, and we'd sit in the parking lot and listen to like sports radio for like an hour. And I remember one of the buses dropping off, and the girls got off. My dad, he caught this one girl, and he goes, "That shit ain't fucking right." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That ain't right, man." He's like, "That girl's dressing like a 20-year-old. She looks damn near 20. You know, she's 14, 15." And and she was just wearing jeans and a small little t-shirt, I think. But it just got worse and worse. I mean, it wasn't that bad when I was in high school. I would have graduated in 2008. You know, so it wasn't really that bad yet. But when I left high school, all of a sudden, like 5 years later, it's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, this is not good. And what's crazy is these people would have you think that that's proof of the patriarchy's oppression. But it's like, no, it's the opposite, because men are like, this isn't good. We don't like this. Stop it. Stop. You know, but we're still the scapegoat for why bad things, like, it's just bullshit.
A lot of these stores have rebranded to reach an older audience, or...
Actually, I said I don't really want to watch it beyond that. You know, it's kind of weird. Every single one of those was color. Every single one of those girls was colored. Not near one of them was white. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, maybe it's not a problem in our community. Hope to God it isn't. Yeah, my dad is pretty badass. Like, you know, and yeah, I was in 9th grade, like, started going to the YMCA, but it was funny too, because like the first time we went, I couldn't even lift 60 pounds. I couldn't bench 60 pounds. And when he first picked up a bar, he was doing like 180. So he's like, you fucking weakling. Look at you. You're so weak. Can't even do that. Busted my balls. And, I took weights second half of the year. And I remember as we stopped working out after the winter break, and I remember going into weights class and everybody in the way, like I was the strongest kid at school because I went and worked out with my dad. And my dad is like a fucking he's strong as fuck, like crazy strong. But it was so weird though, because there were dudes on the football team that could barely lift the bar, man. I was in there like benching 150, 200 pounds in ninth grade. I'd only been working out for a few months. It was kind of wild, but I thought I was like the weakest kid, and like coming out of middle school, I was pretty weak. And I don't know, it was just weird how all of a sudden everybody's like, bro, how do you lift that much, dude? How do you press that? I'm like, bro, my dad, he would make me go every morning. He would not tolerate oh, I pulled him, and I did pull a muscle in my back, right along my spine. And he made me go anyway. It took like 2 weeks. Like I would slide off the couch and shit because I was in so much pain. He didn't give a fuck. I still had to go. He's like, no, you're going. You're going, boy. Shit was wild. I mean, it was great though. I learned something. I learned how, and also he would push me too. Like he would always make me do a little more than I could handle, more or less. He would always make me do them a couple extra reps. He was honestly, he was a fucking awesome partner to have at the gym. Bench like 300 pounds, no problem. He has a bad shoulder too. He could do more than 300, but he didn't want to damage his shoulder, so he would just stay at 300. And it was just like madman. He'd like sling this 300 pounds up, like throw it damn near. Like, and I was the only person that knows how strong my dad is. When people ask him how much he benches, he goes 42. 42. Like he's very modest. He doesn't brag. Yeah. Do you guys see the Bill Maher stuff? Oh no, I can't show the Bill Maher. They'll fucking flag my shit. I did want to show that though, like where he talks to, he's doing his monologue and the crowd just is like silent, and he even says haha, like pissed off that they're not laughing because he's basically calling his own crowd anti-Semites. Which is ridiculous. That's like where they're at nowadays. Like that's all they have left is just to call everybody an anti-Semite. And like, how Nick talks about how he got debanked. You know what that is? That's not debanking. That's economic sanctions. Nick has had he's had the American financial system closed off to him. The same sanctions they put on Iran, they can put on individual people. That's why they call it getting debanked. It's not getting debanked, nigga. You're getting international sanctions, bro. They're sanctioning private individuals, like judges in Europe, that like this IEE or whatever, the international courts. They basically just came out like they're going to, they're putting more charges on Netanyahu and Ben Gurion and shit because they're fucking evil. But they're putting those judges in the international courts have sanctions, bro. They have economic sanctions. Our government has kicked them out of the Western financial industry. They can't ride a bus. They can't order an Uber. They can't order goods off the internet. Journalists, like I see another one, a journalist in Germany who speaks out again, who writes about the atrocities that Israel carries out. Bro, sanctioned, man. Like I didn't realize, like you hear debanking, like Nick, and I never put two and two together that it is the same thing because they have a financial system. The West and America has, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Apple Pay, all these electronic payment companies. They take all that shit from you then you can't get a credit card. You can't do any online transactions. You can't do anything. They basically cut you off from civilization. And it's like, I wish Nick had put it that way, because bro, it's more, it's even deeper and darker when you realize that these are the same sanctions that they're using to oppress Iran with, and using to oppress terrorist nations and shit. Like, it's incredible that's those are the lengths that they're willing to go to keep people, or get people to shut their mouths and to not speak about it. Our government is willing to fucking, throw people, make people destitute, turn them into paupers, for standing up for what's the truth and what's right. Like, and it's getting to the point where the truth is just anti-Semitic. Just the truth. The truth itself is anti-Semitic. Because that's pretty much how it goes. But, the fact that what Nick had, and, like, you can't fly and stuff, like, that's exactly what they did to Nick. They literally sanctioned him because he's set himself up in direct opposition to the Western narrative. He's speaking religious blasphemies as far as they're concerned. And we all know, like, it's his, he has money because of super chat, but he's very limited. They have him pigeonholed. He can do Rumble, get super chats on. They got rid of Entropy. He can hardly get the merch made, and it's like so crooked, man. And it's the same stuff they do. Well, and what's going to end up happening because of this is China is going to build, BRICS is going to build up the alternative to, just like Rumble is the alternative to YouTube. BRICS is going to become the alternative to America, and all this these sanctioning countries, states, and private citizens, they are just speeding up the day that we lose. You know what I mean? Like, all of this stuff, this manipulative, punishing people, censoring people with this stuff. It's just, it's causing the decline to speed up. Like, that's a lot of American power has been our financials, our banking system, and they're just driving the rest of the world. They're creating a huge market opening for an alternative. And they're going to lose all the power that they have now. All the banking power, because nobody's going to bank with our shit anymore. Europe is going to say, no, we don't want your Visa and your fucking MasterCard, you murderers, you thieves. We don't want that shit anymore. That, and then it's going to be more difficult for us to do transactions with BRICS and stuff. And it's making our... it's making our military, it's making those situations harder because, we don't make our own shit. And the economic sanctions, that's something that they're not separate. The military, the military, kinetic action and the economic action, they're tied together. Like, that's how we've been able to get our way so often, because we have the economic sanctions backed up with the threat of force. And they're just squandering all this shit. And they're squandering it for a bunch of fucking Jays in the desert, man. Straight up, dude. Just selling everything. Just hollowing this husk out. We're going to get the husk. We're going to get the shell. They're going to get the crab meat or the lobster meat. We're going to get the fucking shell, man. That's what we get. They get the fucking eggs over easy. We get the egg shells. And it's such bullshit. Here. I want to watch another one of those fucking the British That shit is hilarious. It just, I think it's...
Britain is this great big melting pot of cultures, history and traditions, is what I would say if I was a massive Tory prick. I see Britain as more of a fridge. Loads of weird stuff shoved into it, half of it's rotten, some of it's been wrapped in cling film since the late 90s, and you don't really know what you've got until you open the door and take a good sniff. That's Britain. Inside this fridge, you've got all these different types of British people, characters, stereotypes, the absolute lot. And once you start spotting them, you cannot unsee them. It's almost like Pokemon, but instead of trying to catch them all, you're doing everything in your power to try not catch something. Take the Tories. Ah yes, the Tories. They're easy to spot, they've always got that faint look like they've smelt something ghastly, usually it's the stench of poor people. They're the ones who wear barber jackets and tweed flat caps in the summer, talking about the market or Waitrose like it's some divine being. Their favourite hobby, making sure you're absolutely miserable while riding a horse. You could tell a Tory you've just won the lottery, and they'd smile politely and say, well, don't get too excited, inheritance tax will sort that out. But Tories aren't just politicians. No, no, no. You find them everywhere. They're the bloke in the pub who says, I'm not racist, I've got loads of mates who are black, and then spends 20 minutes and 3 pints of IPA proving he definitely is in fact racist. They're the woman who says, I've worked hard for everything I've got, and you find out her dad owns half of...
said something. I looked up. You know I don't look at the chat when I'm ranting. I already know. Ah, fucking dime on time, bro. Dime on time. How about that shit? Hell yes. So clutch, man. Bro, that was so clutch. Yes. I love that shit when I fucking get the timing just right, where I pull it up and the fucking pre-show AF starting soon emblem is already up. On the Ritz. Likes up, fellas.
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Tuesday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show. Bad news. Our featured story, we're talking all about the utter defeat of Representative Thomas Massie in Kentucky's 4th District. Absolute blowout.
Yeah.
And it came as a bit of a surprise. If you looked at the betting markets or the polling, it seemed that right up until end of last week that Thomas Massie might have safely carried the primary race for his nomination in his district against his opponent, Ed Gallrein. But in the last 72 hours, just about, all of the numbers flipped, basically overnight. And I think this was the result of early voting numbers that started to come in yesterday. Gave us an idea of what the turnout would look like. And then today we finally got the result. Results came in and almost immediately it was clear that Thomas Massie would lose. He was defeated by about 10%.
Sucks, man.
And he conceded the race earlier in the night. This was the single most expensive congressional primary in American history. And Massie pointed this out at a rally tonight. 250 years of U.S. history, this is literally the most expensive in terms of advertising spending. It is the most expensive congressional primary in the history of the United States, over $32 million. And this is for a district that Trump carried by 40 points. So this is as red as it gets. Northern Kentucky, Trump won by over 40%. And yet there was $33 million spent trying to figure out who would be the nominee. And the big takeaway, obviously, is that this was not really about Thomas Massie and Gallrein, who won the nomination. This was a proxy war between the Israel lobby and America First. Why did all this money flow into the district, and from where did it flow? It came from the Israel lobby. It came from the Republican Jewish Coalition. It came from AIPAC. It came from Paul Singer and Miriam Adelson. These are all Israel First Jewish groups and individuals, and they have had it out for Thomas Massie for years, especially in the past 2 years because of his opposition to the war in Iran, opposition to foreign aid to Israel, and his support for the release of the Epstein files. So they poured all their Jewish money into the district to bury him, and they succeeded. In the end, it was older voters who comprised the vast majority of the electorate that broke very strongly for Gallrein, in support of Trump, in support of this money that came in, and it was the young people, far fewer in number, that went for Thomas Massie. So tonight, we're going to talk all about it. We're going to talk about the results. Like I said, we're going to break it down by age. If there's any white pill from the race, it is that the young people voted for Massie. And what does that tell you? Everybody under the age, I have it right here actually, every demographic cohort under the age of 56 broke very strongly for Massie. And the younger you go, the more they supported Massie, the bigger the disparity. So if there is any room for optimism, if there is any hope for the future, it is that the older GOP primary voters, which unfortunately is most of them, they are on their way out. And they seem to be the only ones that are falling for this stuff. It is this Fox News contingent. They worship Trump. They are either ambivalent about Israel, but more likely than not, they absolutely support Israel. But it seems that almost everybody under the age of 50, under the age of retirement, is America first. And like I said, the younger, the more pro-Massie they were. So we'll talk about some of the crosstabs. We'll talk about the breakdown in terms of age. We'll talk about this narrative about Trump and Israel. And this is the big thing that I want to get into, because the takeaway from this race is really an interesting litmus test. How you interpret this and what you think the real story is kind of says it all. Because on social media, for example, on Twitter, I see absolutely everybody from our circles saying the obvious, which is, what is the takeaway from the race? Well, Thomas Massie opposed Israel, so then it became the most expensive primary in history because all this Jewish money came in to try to unseat him. And that is about as simple and transparent as it could possibly be. Why was he unseated? Because he went against a foreign country, so they poured money in and they made an example out of him. And they wanted to send a very strong message to any other Republican that might be considering opposing Israel that they have unlimited money. They have unlimited money, unlimited clout. And if you go against them, you will surely lose your seat. So if you want a future in politics, if you want to hang on to your seat, then you better not go against them.
At least till the next
election.
And
I think that is just obvious. That is just common sense. Does nobody see this is the most expensive race? All the money is coming from Jewish donors and groups. Does nobody see what is obviously taking place here? So that's one narrative, and I see that all over Twitter. Simultaneously, and this is something we have to contend with a little bit, I'm sure you've also seen all of the pro-Trump influencers like Jack Posobiec and Michael Knowles and the people at Daily Wire and Stephen Miller and Randy Fine, a sitting congressman, all of the pro-Trump politicians, party loyalists, influencers, guys like Captive Dreamer, emblematic of them, they're all saying something completely different. And I told you that this is what they would do. All of them, the White House and the mainstream media, they have a completely different take on this. They say, why did Thomas Massie lose? Well, it's not because the Jews injected $33 million to punish him for voting against foreign aid. They say this is a referendum on Trump's influence over the party. They have a very different take. They say that Trump pointed at the district, pointed at Massie, said he wanted him to lose, and so he lost.
Yeah, Massie tried to take on Trump and he lost. That's going to be the narrative. That's a fact.
He was disloyal to Trump, pissed Trump off. Trump went against Massie, hand-selected a primary opponent, and Trump got his way. So the real message is not go against Israel, lose your seat. The message is go against Trump, you lose your seat. But they take it further. And they say, which votes did Thomas Massie commit to? In what way did Thomas Massie vote that made Trump upset? They say, well, Massie didn't vote for the big, beautiful bill. And what was contained in the big, beautiful bill? Well, $200 billion for DHS to secure the border and carry out mass deportations. So they take it further and say, not only did Massie upset the president, not only was he disloyal to the party and voted against the party's agenda, but they say he voted against border security and mass deportations. So he was a left-wing, open borders traitor who went against the president. And so the president used his immense influence over the party and the base to throw him out. And this is what the media says, and this is what the Trump and party loyalists are saying. They say it's all about Trump. And I told you last night, if you watch my show, I predicted that to the letter. I said that is exactly what they were going to say. I said it looks like, more likely than not, Massie's going to lose, and when he does, that's the line they're going to go with. And by the way, that's what the history books will record. When we move on from this in 6 months, 12 months, when we're talking about even 2028, we'll be talking about the midterms very soon. And then, of course, we'll be talking about 2028. It will be a huge question how much influence Trump retains, especially as he becomes increasingly unpopular. And this will be an example this day and all the other races that took place. This will be used as a talking point to say, Trump still has this influence. Take a look at what happened to Massie.
Israel that has the
And
influence.
it's not enough to simply say, it was Israel, the Jews did it, Israel. We have to contend with what the media and what the party loyalists are going to say, because mark my words and listen to me now. Hi, I'm talking to you if you're watching the show live or the replay. Mark my words. You will hear this from your boomer dad. You will hear this from your boomer uncle. You will hear this from your conservative coworkers. You will hear this from some numbnuts in your group chat who's vaguely conservative. They will say, no, it has nothing to do with Israel. It's all about how Massie went against Trump. Massie is this left-wing anti-Trumper. What did he expect to happen? He went against Trump in a district that Trump carried by 40 points. That's just the obvious. It's got nothing to do with that. You will be contending with this tomorrow. I promise you. I promise you. You will be dealing with this in the break room. You'll be dealing with this in the group chat. You'll be dealing with this the next time you talk to your dad. And you know that's true. Now that I've said it, you'll know this. So we're going to talk all about that. That may be the most important point. So we'll get into it. We're also going to talk tonight about this new development. Get a load of this. Now, we may or may not have time for it, but if we do, we'll discuss it a little bit. Obviously, mass deportations are not happening. They have ground to a standstill. You haven't even heard anything about them. They're not happening. Well, I remember there was an announcement a couple of months ago. They said, well, you may not be getting mass deportations. You might not be getting these big surges of CBP in the cities, and you're not getting huge raids going on, patrols in the streets. However, the Trump sycophants and defenders said, what you are getting is an executive order from Trump where he's going to ban illegal aliens from having bank accounts, and that will lead to massive self-deportations. Do you remember this? Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all this. It's hard to keep track of all the cope. But a couple of months ago, I distinctly remember all of the pro-Trump people said, hey, don't worry, man. Even though the mass deportations are obviously over, Trump is going to ban them from having bank accounts, and then that's going to make him self-deport, and that's what mass deportations really always meant. Well, we have an update on that. We have an update on that piece of cope, and it was reported today in Semaphore, verified by them, that there is going to be an executive order about this, but it's going to be nothing like that. How easy would it be to tell banks in the United States that you can't give banking services to illegal aliens? They have to present proof of citizenship when they open up a bank account. How hard would that be? Well, they're not doing that. Instead, they're telling the banks to be on the lookout for red flags about payroll fraud. Got it? So now if a company is illegally hiring all these employees, remember there's no E-Verify, there's no penalties. They're not deporting these people from the job sites. But if a company is employing tons of illegals and the illegals have bank accounts and then maybe they get paid like with direct deposit instead of cash, if that's happening, well, the banks are told to be extra on alert for that. So I know we're not getting mass deportations. I know we're not getting tons of removals. I know ICE is no longer actually making any real arrests. But here's the good news. There's going to be a massive exodus of illegals self-deporting once they realize that banks are having extra scrutiny for red flags for payroll fraud and other things. Right? That's great.
I've been saying this for a while. There's going to be a big mass exodus. All these people that came here for handouts and free rides, and like the fucking gravy train is just about over. Buffet's fixing to close up for today, for the indefinite future.
So that's why we voted for Trump. That's why Trump got shot in the face. That's why he got indicted. That's why you lost your job or whatever for wearing a MAGA hat. It's so we could do this executive order. So if we have time, we'll get into that as well. Should be a pretty good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. Remember to check out our merch store, Fuentes.store. We have the brand new America First hat in white. We also have brand new sweatshirts, shorts, t-shirts, everything you could possibly want. If you want to support the show, subscribe at AmericaFirst.plus, $15 a month to get access to the entire archive of every episode of the show. For $100 a month, you get to be in a group chat with me. Ask me anything, hang out. I'm posting bonus content in there too. Voice messages, trauma dumping, talking about my problems, my beef with Sneeko, my trip in New York, my real thoughts and feelings about everything. It's all in the group chat if you really want to get to know me. $100 a month. It's only for the rich, though. If you're poor, just forget it. AmericaFirst.plus. Okay, with that, we're going to move on. I also did a big collaboration with Alex Jones this afternoon, if you missed it.
Oh, shit, I missed it.
And this is my first appearance on the Alex Jones Network. Alex Jones live on his own proprietary network. I did his show. I was on for a couple of hours. And we talked about everything. We talked about Massie, Iran, the midterms, how the globalists are trying to kill me, apparently. This guy is always trying to scare me. I don't know why he's always trying to freak me out. Just when I start feeling better, just when I start to get my bearings, I go on his show, and do you know what this guy literally says to me? He goes, I've had meeting with top globalists, and you know they're talking about killing you, right?
Oh.
I'm like, what am I supposed to say to that? We're live. He literally said that to me on the show today. I'm like, bro, are you trying to freak me out? I mean, I'm already paranoid. I already can't relax. I do the show. He goes, these top high-level globalists, I meet with them.
He's got
they talked about killing you, right? I'm like, no. I assumed they did, but no. Thanks for telling me. So always a treat, always a pleasure. I'm kidding, of course. I love hanging out with him, but it's like, why are you trying to freak me out? Why are you trying to scare me? So that was fun, but I think we uploaded that on my Rumble channel. It's also on his channel on Twitter, Rumble, everything else. So if you missed it, check it out. A lot of fun stuff. He was telling me how earlier in the year he shaved his mustache off and gave himself a Hitler mustache. I didn't hear the rest of the story. He was telling me today that he was going around in public with the Hitler mustache, and he said that women were throwing themselves at him, flirting with him, trying to have sex with him. I was like, damn, it's that easy? That's crazy. Maybe I should try that. I didn't hear that part of it. He goes, yeah, I had the Hitler mustache earlier in the year. I was bald Hitler for a week. He goes, and women were just throwing themselves at me. I was like, is that true? Did that actually? Damn, that's crazy. Anyway, always a good time. So check it out. With that, we're going to move on. He's a fun guy. I really get such a kick out of him. But with that, we're going to move on. We're going to get into our big featured story tonight, which is all about Thomas Massie. If you're here, you know what's going on. Today was Thomas Massie's primary election in Kentucky. So for those that don't know, this is the race to determine who will be the Republican nominee for that congressional seat. Now, Thomas Massie has won 7 consecutive elections since 2012. He's been in office. He has held this seat for 14 years. Okay? 14 consecutive years in his district. He is beloved by everybody. Very popular. And it's never even been close in his district. If you look at the previous 2, 3, 4 elections, he has had primary challengers in the past. He always secures the nomination by 70, 80%. He's popular. But this time was a little bit different. This time, President Trump and the Israel lobby went all in with endorsements, with visits to the district behind a primary challenger. They spent tens of millions of dollars in ad spending trying to primary Thomas Massie out of his seat. Can't beat him in the general with the Democrat. They're going to primary him, get a different Republican nominee to replace him so that Thomas Massie loses a seat, has to leave office, and then is effectively silenced. And this has been many, many months, maybe years in the making. Why did this happen? Why did Thomas Massie lose his seat? Well, it started a couple of years ago when Thomas Massie went very strongly against the Israel lobby. It started in April of 2024. Israel was begging the United States for a huge foreign aid package totaling $26 billion. And by the way, that's in addition to what we already do for them and give to them. At that point, we already had 2 carrier strike groups deployed in the Middle East defending them against Iran, which costs us tens of millions of dollars a day for a deployment like that. That's in addition to the $3.8 billion in foreign military financing we give them every year. On top of that, they wanted an additional $26 billion, which is massive. If we've given Ukraine $200 billion to fight Russia in a giant land war, we're giving Israel $26 billion to fight this tiny strip of land that's barely the size of Manhattan Island. So they wanted us to shelve every other Republican priority, like the border, like January 6th tapes, everything else that Republicans had been talking about, to immediately and urgently vote on giving them a boatload more money so they could kill more kids, so they could genocide more people in Gaza, they could fight their war in Lebanon. So in 2024, Thomas Massie voted against the bill. Couple months later, Thomas Massie goes on Tucker Carlson's show and he exposes the influence of the Israel lobby, talks about AIPAC. He says that every Republican conference member, so that's every self-identified Republican in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, Massie says every single one of them has an AIPAC handler. AIPAC is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It is a pro-Israel PAC. They give money, or rather arrange for other individual donors to give money to candidates, and they're a single issue group. They're all about supporting Israel and opposing anti-Semitism. And so Massie said that every single Republican member has their own, a dedicated representative from this group, which could be called colloquially the Israel lobby. Israel lobby is an umbrella term for all the pro-Israel groups and individuals, but AIPAC is maybe emblematic of it. They're the archetypal Israel lobbying group. Massie says that every member of the House and Senate that's a part of the Republican Party has a dedicated rep from AIPAC, which talks to them and will ask for favors and talk to them on the phone, promising them contributions. And in exchange, these representatives are asked to sign on to letters periodically supporting Israel, told how to vote on pro-Israel legislation. And Thomas Massie said, I'm the only one that doesn't have a handler like that. And that's why they don't like me. That's why they fund my primary opponents. That's why he has a little bit of a tough time So he puts that interview out. It's a huge bombshell. This is waking a lot of people up about the nature of foreign influence, not just in government, but specifically in the GOP in particular. It goes further than this. Starting in the second administration of Donald Trump, Thomas Massie votes against the Big Beautiful Bill, which is Trump's disgusting spending package last year. They cut $800 billion from Medicaid, which is health care for low-income people, to pay for a corporate tax cut. They tried to sneak in there, and eventually removed, but they tried to slip in there a 10-year moratorium on AI regulation, which meant that no state, no jurisdiction could in any way regulate AI for a decade. They tried to slip that in there. There was a ton of pork barrel spending. It added trillions of dollars to the deficit over the next 5 years. It's a total disaster of a bill. Massie voted against it because he's a fiscal conservative and libertarian. Later in the year, Thomas Massie voted to release the Epstein files and might have been a determining vote. It was him and a handful of other Republicans working with Democrats, cobbling together a majority in the House to force a vote to release the Epstein files, of which 3 million of them have been published by the DOJ. And then finally, several months ago, or I should say, maybe this was about 5 or 6 weeks ago, Thomas Massie voted in favor of a resolution, a war powers resolution, which would restrict Trump's ability to prosecute the war in Iran. So this is the voting record of Thomas Massie. Think about these issues. He voted against foreign aid to Israel, exposed AIPAC, voted to release the Epstein files, voted against the war in Iran, and voted against the Big Beautiful Bill. For this, he roused the ire not just of President Trump voting against the Big Beautiful Bill, but also against Israel. And so there was this coming together of Trump with his GOP. Trump is the formal leader of the Republican Party as the sitting president, and the Israel lobby that they got to get rid of this guy. So Trump hand-selected a primary opponent, endorsed him, posted a lot of negative things on Truth Social and Twitter about Massie, got the vote out, sent Pete Hegseth, his defense secretary, to campaign for Massie's opponent. And then on the pro-Israel side, there was something like $20 million in strictly pro-Israel money. $32 million in total was spent, but out of that $32 million, 20 million of it, at least, came from pro-Israel individuals and groups like Paul Singer, Miriam Adelson, Republican Jewish Coalition, AIPAC, among others. They put in the vast majority of the money to unseat Thomas Massie. And this was the blood feud. It became a proxy between Massie and the Israel-controlled Trump Republican Party. Now, in the end, the big result today is that Thomas Massie was defeated by about 10%. He lost, he conceded the race, and now he's out of Congress and effectively silenced for now. And this is a story, we'll go through it from the New York Times, and we'll just get some of the details here. It says, quote, Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, one of President Trump's most outspoken Republican critics, lost his re-election bid to a Trump-backed primary challenger on Tuesday. It was a major victory for the president that underscored his enduring influence over Republican voters and his ability to enact retribution against party rivals. Is that what it is? It says Mr. Trump's preferred Senate candidates performed well, winning a Republican primary in Kentucky and one advancing to a runoff in Alabama. Those showings demonstrated Mr. Trump's persistent strength within the Republican Party at a time when he faces plummeting approval ratings among the wider electorate. The president and his allies were intent on ousting Mr. Massie, who has broken with Mr. Trump over the Iran war and the Epstein files. The president recruited Ed Gulrain, a former Navy SEAL, to run against him, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth campaigned for Gulrain in the closing days. The race ballooned into a $33 million affair that became the most expensive House primary in recent years. A pair of pro-Israel super PACs linked to the American Israel Public Affairs Committee and the Republican Jewish Coalition spent more than $9 million targeting the isolationist, who has routinely rejected efforts to financially aid and symbolically support the U.S. ally Israel. Another super PAC stood up by Trump's top political operatives spent nearly $7 million berating Massie over his votes against the president's tax cuts, border wall, and other priorities. Overall ad spending in the race topped $33 million. So let's talk about what happened here. I do want to say in the first place, let's just talk about on a very basic level what we all know to be true, which is the most glaringly obvious aspect of this. Why did Thomas Massie lose his seat? Because he opposed Israel. Period. Bottom line. End of story. It's the most expensive primary in history. Where did the money come from? It came from the Israel lobby. Why did they care so much? Why did they care so much that they poured tens of millions of dollars into a Republican congressional primary in Kentucky? Why would they care that much to spend that much money? Why was that the lion's share of the total ad spend in the whole thing? Well, why do you think? Because they're trying to send a message, and they're not even hiding it. There was a tweet earlier today from one of those pro-Israel groups. They said this was the most important election for Israel. So that's a real tweet. They posted it today, claiming victory. They're not even hiding it. And by the way, this has been their program for years.
Decades.
This is how it works in Congress. Would you like to know why? The only types of legislation that can pass 435 to 0 or 420 to 0 or 99 to 1 in the Senate. Would you like to know why the only pieces of legislation that are unanimously adopted are pro-Israel bills and laws? As opposed to anything else, it's because anybody and everybody that would have voted against those things or has loses primary races. Why? Because Jewish donors and groups will pour in the money, and they'll also pile on in the Jewish-controlled media to make sure those people can never get a seat or hang on to one. It's a survivorship bias. For example, the Memorandum of Understanding, which has the United States giving Israel $3.8 billion a year for the last 10 years, that bill passed, I think, 99 to 1 in the Senate. The foreign aid bill to Israel in April 2024, it was almost unanimous in the House and the Senate. Why is that? Congress can't seem to agree on anything else. They can't agree on trade, immigration, spending, can't agree on nominees, judges. The one thing, apparently, all Republicans, all Democrats, all the leadership, what they all agree on is Israel is our closest ally. Have to send them infinite money, have to fight all their wars, have to send them the best technology, have to condemn their enemies, have to prop up their anti-Semitism machine in the United States. Why is that? Some people say, well, Israel's a popular issue. Obviously, that's not true. Not anymore, at least. I would call that a survivorship bias. All of the congressmen that are still there are there because Israel didn't spend a bunch of money in their primary. The pro-Israel conservative media, Fox News, The Journal, The New York Post, they didn't go after any Republican that opposed them. So who's left in Congress year over year? It's all these people that have survived because they never had AIPAC inject $15, $20, $30 million into a primary opponent.
And they can do that. They can inject 30 million in one race because they already know all the other politicians, all the other congressmen are locked in. And if they win this one, none of them will dare stand up. So it's like, and because they have the whole Congress locked in, they can just knock them down every election one by one. They only got a handful that they have to either beat or win. You know, they don't, it's so crooked, man. It's so oppressive.
The way they did it in the last cycle too. AIPAC in particular pledged $100 million. Do you know how much money that is?
Shit.
They pledged $100 million in 2024. Specifically to unseat and primary any Democrat or Republican that voted against the foreign aid. And it worked. They unseated a handful of progressive Democrats doing exactly that. So, and to me, this is obvious. This almost goes without saying. Why else would there be this intense interest? Why would all this money be spent? Why would the Jews and Israel be doing a victory lap? Why is it all coming from them? It's because they're sending a message, which is to the 434 other congressmen, don't fuck with us. That's the message. And that is how they maintain control. That's a very specific control mechanism. Do you think AIPAC could afford to spend $30 million in all 435 congressional districts?
No
Obviously
way.
not. But they don't need to. They don't need to spend tens of millions of dollars in every congressional district and every statewide race. They only need to spend that much money in a handful of districts and states where somebody's opposing them. And this is how they operate. This is their MO. They will find the people that are the most outspoken, and they will send in the berserkers, the Mark Levins, the Laura Loomers, the Ben Shapiros, and they are nasty. Nasty.
So nasty.
And they are there every day, all day on social media for months, for years.
Bombarding.
Constantly attacking you, lying about you, amplifying every smear, calling you disloyal. And then they get the press involved. You know who else is an ardent Zionist? Rupert Murdoch. He owns Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post. What do you think conservatives watch and read? Fox News, the Journal, and the Post. And so then they will be doing the same thing. You know who else is a big Zionist? Shapiro at Daily Wire, Glenn Beck at The Blaze TV, Joel Pollack at Breitbart. It's every single one of them. So then you get the media amplifying every bad story, piling on. And then in the end, when it's time for you to run for office, then it's the money injection. Then they inject the cash. And then it's tens of millions of dollars, basically an unlimited source of financing. Whereas you're begging for $100, small dollar donations, they're going to AIPAC and saying, send in another $5 million, send in another $10 million. This is what they do. And they find a person opposing Israel, isolate them from the rest of the group, and then they overwhelm them with the berserker attacks, the media onslaught, and then if all else fails, they bury them in outside money. And that person is made an example of and destroyed. And everybody else that's a part of the pack looks at the unfortunate and tragic Thomas Massie and says, I don't want that to happen to me. I like having a seat. I like having a pension. I like having my seat. I want a political future. I fought hard enough to get here. Do I really want to get off the train at this stop? Think about people that are in the House, in the Senate. They've been climbing the ladder their whole lives, since they were the student council president, since they were a school board chairperson, since they were a state rep. Finally, you make it to the House. Oh, my wife was there, and that was the best day of my life, and I've held this seat for years, and I love representing my district, and I get to tell my friends I'm a success, and even more so in the Senate. And so everybody's looking at Thomas Massie and saying, I'm glad that's not me. Yep. Oh, you're telling me all I have to do is sign on the dotted line? I have to just sign this letter that says I support Israel? Well, I don't really feel that strongly anyway, and I see nothing, I hear nothing. Yeah, what difference does it make? Hey, the system's gonna be pro-Israel anyway. What's another signature? Everybody's going to sign on to this anyway. The government's not going to stop supporting Israel anytime soon. Might as well just sign the thing. Live to fight another day, they say. I'm not going to lose my seat over this. It's not worth it. I'll find some other way to make it up to my conscience or myself or my district. This is the mentality. And so the herd, the pack, sticks together, and they let that person get isolated, overwhelmed, destroyed. And this is what you call a chilling effect. It chills, discourages, disincentivizes dissent. Nobody's going to go out there and oppose Israel because they don't want that to happen to them. This is how they maintain control over us. Everybody knows that, and that's obvious. But I want to take it a step further, okay, because we all know that. And what does this say? There's so much that can be said about it. Congress, and specifically the House, is the people's house. The legislature has all the power, and the House really has a lot of the power. Because the House, unlike the Senate, is apportioned based on population. The Senate apportions 2 representatives for each state. It's really the chamber that represents the interest of the states. So it's not really the House of the people. The Senate is the chamber of the states. That's where Texas and Florida and New York get a voice. The House is a portion based on population. So if you live in rural Kentucky, you have a guy in federal government giving his opinion, representing you on these matters. And so what does it say that a foreign country is able to spend $30 million in rural Kentucky to tell rural Kentuckians, no, we don't like your representative. We want a different one. Yeah. The representative of the small town people of rural Kentucky is not supporting Israel's war in the Persian Gulf, so we veto that. We're going to come in with all these billionaire Jews from New York and LA and Miami. We're going to come in with all this billionaire Jewish money. These are people that have never set foot in Kentucky. They don't give a shit about Kentucky. They probably hate people from Kentucky, but they got deep pockets because they're institutional. They run the institutions that keep the global empire going. So they take their limitless resources, limitless cash, which is also transnational. They have their connections in Europe, in the Middle East, and Asia, and elsewhere. They pour this money in, and they effectively tell the people in Kentucky, we don't like your guy. We want a more compliant guy. He can vote on your stuff. We don't really care about your stuff, but he's going to submit to our interests.
But we're going to get our
cut.
And
what this tells us is that Israel effectively has hegemony. We do not have sovereignty. Sovereignty is the ability to determine what happens inside your borders. Whatever your system of government is, whether it's a monarchy, a democracy, it's that either the king, your king, or the people, your citizenry, your voters, they get to determine what happens inside your borders and how the taxes are collected and what they're spent on and when we go and kill and die in a conflict. If Israel has that much influence over the legislative process, which is to say the picking and choosing of the elected representatives, then do they not control our country? Do they not have a sphere of influence in America? Does it not suggest that whether it's Randy Fine in Florida or Ed Galrine in Kentucky or Chuck Schumer in New York, that these United States are a part of their sphere of influence, that their money and their media power?
We get what we want, or we get what they say we can have. We get to want what they say we can want. Bro, that's not sovereignty at all. Like, we only get what Israel says we're allowed to have. Bro, that's fucking bullshit. That's enough reason to fucking just burn it all down.
Power and their oligarchical pull and influence actually exerts gravity on rural Kentucky. Obviously, that is the conclusion. And so it means that the whole system is a farce. If at the end of the day, a congressman cannot say no to Israel, then that means the buck stops with Israel, and in particular, Jewish billionaires. If a representative, hi, I'm a representative, I'm the spokesperson of the sovereign citizens of the Republic of the United States of America, but I cannot tell my Jewish backers no. If I vote a certain way, a Jewish billionaire is going to inject $50 million into my race and I lose my seat and I have problems in my family, then they control the whole system. They control the whole process. They control the appropriations. They control the nominations, the executive branch. They control the whole thing. We're not a free country. We are not an independent, free, strong nation. That makes us a vassal of Israel. That makes us a puppet regime of Israel. How is that any different than in some backwater South American or African country or some kind of Pacific Oceanic microstate? If the CIA doesn't like your leader, if the CIA doesn't like the alignment of your latest regime, let's say you do too much business with China, you buy too many weapons from Russia, so the CIA comes in and installs some new leader, who's really in control of your country? You're a puppet of the United States. How is that any different than if Israel doesn't like the American president? Like, let's say, for example, Joe Biden? Then all the Jewish billionaires like Miriam Adelson and Bill Ackman and the rest of them are going to pour millions of dollars in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars. And they're going to bring in the full weight of the Jewish media. And you're going to have guys like Larry Ellison involved. And Zuckerberg is not going to support Biden this time around. And they're going to install a more compliant president like Trump, who's going to give him TikTok, who's going to give him Harvard, who's going to give him a war in Iran, who's going to give him the 2,000-pound bombs, who's going to ban the anti-Semites from getting a visa or going to the World Cup. And in the end, something like today, if a single solitary congressman doesn't want to vote for that kind of stuff, they're going to overthrow him too. How is that any different? That makes us, as clear as it can possibly be, a puppet regime of Israel. And how is it maintained? It's maintained through our Jewish oligarchy. Israel's control over the United States is maintained by the American moneyed Jewish oligarchy, which has control over the media, CBS, Disney, TikTok now, Facebook, I mean, you name it, which has control over BlackRock, that's Larry Fink, has control over Wall Street, the entertainment industry, all the big talent agencies, all the big film studios. It's full spectrum, it's vertical and horizontal, and it's total.
You got us.
Let's take it a step further, though, okay? So we all understand that that is the big picture. Thomas Massie was punished because he went against the omnipotent state of Israel. They tapped into their limitless pool of money to bury him. He stood no chance. All the small dollar contributions from all the actual residents of the district were no match for AIPAC's money. Okay, let's go further. I told you last night, however, that even though that is so obviously the case, and anybody with common sense would understand that, I told you there'd be a different narrative, did I not? I said that when you go to bed tomorrow night, after the election is called for Thomas Massie's opponent, I said the mainstream media and the White House and all the pro-Trump influencers will say something totally different. Could not be more obvious what is going on, but they're going to have a completely different take. And that take is going to be recorded in the history books. And you know what they're going to say? I told you last night. I said they will say this election was a referendum not on Israel, but on Trump. Trump endorsed Massie's opponent. Trump campaigned against Massie. So they're going to say this really reflects whether Trump is still influential over his own party. If he can point to Thomas Massie, cast him out, and make him lose, then that shows that his endorsement is still powerful. His endorsement still matters. Even as unpopular as he is, because of inflation, because of the war, because of the Epstein files, he will still have this stranglehold over the party that you're going to need him to be the kingmaker if you want to have a political future. I said that's what they're going to say. And that is a giant diversion. That is a giant deflection. They don't want to talk about the Jewish money. They don't want to talk about Massie's antipathy towards the Israel lobby and vice versa. They're going to want to talk about everything other than what it's actually about. They're going to say it's about Trump. I said, and moreover, they're going to say it's because Massie went against Trump's agenda on immigration. Now, let's entertain this argument for a moment. They're saying that Thomas Massie was disloyal to the president in a district, Kentucky's 4th, that went 40 points for Trump in the last election. They're going to say that Trump is a sitting president. He's a leader of the party. Thomas Massie broke with him. And so what did he expect? They're going to say that if Thomas Massie had Trump's endorsement, that he would have won the election. And so, no, it's much more simple. It doesn't really have to do with Israel. It's everything to do with play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's not that deep. He went against Trump. He lost in Trump's GOP. But riddle me this then. If it was really just about Trump's endorsement, then why did the Israel lobby spend $20 million? Do you think that the Israel lobby cares that much about Trump's endorsement? They cared $20 million. That's the price tag on their willingness to buttress Trump's authority in the party. And I would almost flip it and say, maybe Massie would have won with Trump's endorsement. But would his challenger have won without $20 million from the Israel lobby? Certainly not. And if he could have won without the $20 million, then why did they spend it? And if they spent it because they needed it that bad, why did they need it that bad? Why did the American Israel Public Affairs Committee and the Republican Jewish Coalition Why did they see it as so dire that they had to spend all this money? It was because they were doing Trump the world's biggest favor? Because they're so generous with their deep pockets, those Jews? They said, hey, Trump, don't worry about it. We got this. You've been good to us. We're going to return the favor out of sheer reciprocity. You've been so kind to Israel. We want to repay the favor to the tune of $20 million with our scarce resources that we have to spread around in this midterm election. You think that's really what happened? If Trump had it in the bag, why'd they need $20 million? If they're spending all that money and they needed to, why did they do it? To help out Trump, or because Thomas Massie, coincidentally, is their biggest critic on the Republican side? I will tell you what is going on here. Which votes did Massie actually break with Trump from? Well, yes, it was the big, beautiful bill. But what really did it is that Thomas Massie voted to release the Epstein files. That was the big one. In the end, they didn't need Thomas Massie for the big, beautiful bill because it passed anyway. And by the way, the big, beautiful bill is a monstrosity. It was very unpopular across the board and with Republicans too, and especially fiscal conservatives. But that wasn't the only thing that Massie voted against. The big one is that later in the year, around the fall, it was Massie, Marjorie Greene, Nancy Mason, Lauren Boebert. It was a handful of Republicans joining with all the Democrats. They used a discharge petition. What that means is they bypassed the Republican Speaker of the House, who could have blocked this, to bring a vote on this resolution to the floor for a broader vote in the entire chamber. And they forced a vote on the release of the Epstein files. Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker, with Donald Trump, had been actively covering the Epstein files up and blocking them from being released. You might remember this. The DOJ put out a memo last July saying, there's no more files, they don't exist, we're washing our hands of this, it's over. And then Mike Johnson actually adjourned Congress early for their summer recess, about 2 weeks early, so that they wouldn't have to vote on this resolution from Congress, which would have forced the DOJ to release the files. When Congress came back from the summer session, there was a government shutdown. Trump and the Republicans shut down the government. The Democrats had a part in this as well, obviously, but that went on for over 45 days. And when the government shutdown finally ended, that is when a handful of Republicans led by Massie with the Democrats bypassed the Republican Speaker, prevented them from blocking the legislation, and they forced the House to vote on it. And once it came to a vote, every representative said, yeah, we're not going to not vote to release the Epstein files. Why did Mike Johnson want to block it from even coming to a vote? Because he knew that if this was on somebody's record, they're not going to vote against it. If you're put in the position, let's say I talk to you on the street and say, hey, do you support the release of those files about the potential child rape, blackmail ring? Are people going to say, no, I don't think so. I think we should bury that and keep that hidden forever. If I ask you the question, you have to say yes. That's why Mike Johnson was blocking it. He knew if it came to a vote, everybody would have to vote to release the files. So they had to bury it so that everybody could have plausible deniability. They could all say, well, I wanted it to be released, but it never came to the floor for a vote. So I didn't have to actually commit up or down one way or the other. So Massie bypassed Speaker Johnson, got the bill to the floor for a vote, and consequently, it almost passed unanimously. And then it passed unanimously in the Senate. And then what is Trump going to do? Trump's going to veto that? Well, it had a veto-proof majority anyway. So Trump had to sign on to it. And in January, we got 3 million Epstein files exposing all of his friends, including the recent Federal Reserve chairman who just got nominated, Kevin Warsh. His father-in-law, Ronald Lauder, is all over the Epstein files. Just so you understand. These are all Trump's cronies, all the Trump billionaire class. They're all in the files, and Trump specifically said he was protecting them. That's really what did it for Trump. So even if you say this is about Trump, this is about Massie's disloyalty to Trump, disloyalty about what exactly? Because Massie was not loyally complicit in the cover-up of the Epstein files? Because Massie was not loyally complicit in Trump's war in Iran for Israel? These are the votes that constituted disloyalty? Well, if Trump is betraying America first, then what loyalty does Thomas Massie owe to the president? It's totally circular when they say it's not about Israel, it's about Trump. Okay, but why did Massie break with Trump? Because Trump is an Israel first pawn. Yeah. Massie didn't break with Trump because Trump was trying to do mass deportations and save the world. He didn't break with Trump because Trump was trying to bring the troops home, have a tariff schedule, and deport all the illegal aliens. No, Massie broke with Trump because Trump was going to cut health care to give a corporate tax cut, because Trump sent us into a war with Iran on behalf of Israel, because Trump was going to bury the Epstein files on behalf of his billionaire Jewish friends. That is why Massie roused the ire of Trump. Don't let them tell you it's about the big, beautiful bill. That was part of it, but that was far from the whole story. And this is what you need to understand. Trump and the GOP and Israel are one thing.
Yeah.
There's no daylight between them. There is no separation. Who was Trump's national security advisor? Mike Waltz. He was literally working for Netanyahu in his capacity as the head of the National Security Council. Who's the Secretary of State? Marco Rubio, whose political career was given to him by the Adelsons. Who selected both of them? They're both from Florida, which is a Jewish pro-Israel stronghold, by Susie Wiles, a lobbyist from Florida that hand-selected all these people. How did Trump get elected? With 100.
Susie Wiles was Benjamin Netanyahu's fucking campaign manager. Like, she is thick as thieves with him. The whole fucking gang of these thugs. They're all Israeli shills, Israeli puppets, you know, total traitors from top to bottom.
$100 million from Miriam Adelson, with millions more in in-kind contributions and other donations from the Jewish lobby. Bill Ackman, Sean McGuire, Jacob Hellberg, David Sachs, all the elements of little tech. They're inseparable. So when people say it's not about Israel, it's about Trump, you're saying the same thing. It's not about Israel, it's about their puppet Trump. It's not about Israel, it's about their number one beneficiary, Trump, and his Republican Party. It's a difference without a distinction. They say, well, Massie should not have broke with Trump. Well, the only reason he broke with Trump is because Trump is no longer putting America first, because he has been subverted and totally controlled and commandeered by the Israel lobby. But let's go even further than this. What else is the purpose of this narrative? There is a conceit, and you can see this every day with all of them all the time. The Jewish lobby knows how unpopular they are. And they know how unpopular Israel is. And they know how it looks when all these Jewish activists are being very pro-Israel on Twitter. They know how transparent it is. And so now they're doing something else. And what they're doing is they are marrying themselves and the pro-Israel cause to Trumpism, and specifically immigration. They're bundling these things together, and they want everybody to think that you can't get one without the other. If you want mass deportations, you need Stephen Miller, and Stephen Miller.
God damn it, man. Fucking bullshit.
He brought us to war in Iran on Israel's behalf. He gave them 2,000-pound bombs to drop on children in Gaza. To oppose any of these things, any of these heinous America last, Israel first positions, is to oppose Trump, is to oppose the GOP in full. The Republican conference in Congress, the cabinet, Trump, the donors, the media organs, Fox, the Journal, the New York Post. To oppose the Israel lobby is to oppose the entire Republican Party, Trump, and the conservative movement. And what that means is there's no opposing them without bringing down Trump as an enemy. Tell me how Thomas Massie could have opposed the Israel lobby without pissing Trump off. If you're one of these people that says, no, it's really, I don't support foreign aid and I don't support the war, et cetera, but Massie shouldn't have went against Trump. If you're one of those people, you tell me how a Republican could have meaningfully opposed any of those things without getting Trump to get on their case, because it's impossible. Can't be done. And what that means is that in order to make the GOP America first, we have to destroy the GOP. You do understand that, right?
Yeah.
It's futile. Whether you're Casey Push or whether you're any of these primary candidates, even Thomas Massie, who's an incumbent. If Thomas Massie, who has won 7 consecutive elections, beloved in his district, if he gets utterly routed all of a sudden because Israel injected $30 million and Trump went hard against him, what hope do we have to oppose anybody that's Israel and Trump backed? Anybody who has criticized Israel and brings down the weight of the Israel lobby and Trump and the party together. There's no hope in any district, no matter how conservative, in any statewide race, which is much bigger and more expensive. What has to be done is that the GOP has to be destroyed. Trump, the cabinet, the leadership, they have to be utterly destroyed. And I mean that politically, of course. And if we can't defeat them through the primary, if we can't defeat them by rallying the young people and the Israel critics to, by maybe 1% eking it out against their well-funded, endorsed challenger, then who can destroy the GOP? Who can degrade them? Who can weaken them? Who can maim and wound them in such a way that they can be taken over? The Democrats. The Democrats. Democrats aren't doing this stuff.
No,
Democrats, there was a Democrat today that said, let's get rid of the ICE detention centers and put all the pro-Israel people in it. Now, that's pretty extreme. The Democrats are also signing a letter saying we should acknowledge Israel's nuclear program. The Democrats are voting against Trump's war in Iran. The Democrats voted to release the Epstein files. Now, I'm under no illusions. Yes, the Democrats are heavily influenced by the Jews in Israel also. But let's also be honest. 80% of Democrats oppose Israel right now.
Absolutely.
There are no boomers, evangelical dispensationalists that worship Trump or worship Israel religiously that are going to hold the Democrats back from criticizing Israel. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. The older liberals and the younger progressives alike, at the minimum, they don't like Netanyahu. At the most, they don't like Israel that much. And by the way, that is why the table has been set as such.
Yep.
That is why you got people like Randy Fine and Mark Levin and the rest of them. They hate that we're going to the Democrat side. And that's why they say it's Trump and the Trump supporters and Israel against the Democrats.
They want to make us feel like we have no choice but to vote for them. They play both sides. They don't want us to play both sides. They want it to be unfair for them.
The Muslims and the communists and the Chinese and so on. Because they know the Democrats can actually hurt the Israel-controlled GOP. And they know that maybe the Groypers can't turn an election. We can't change the outcome in a statewide race or even in a primary like this where there's tens of millions of dollars spent. But they do know that maybe if we lead the charge to break with the GOP, Democrats can get in, and the Democrats are merciless. To Republicans.
They'll strip them out.
Impeachment, subpoenas, depositions, investigations.
They'll rip them out by the roots.
You name it, and they will meaningfully hurt the GOP apparatus.
Good.
Which again, once you understand the GOP apparatus is controlled by Israel, and it's impenetrable. It can't be overcome in a primary. It can barely be subverted. All these things. Then you recognize it just has to be punched in the face by the Democrats and needs to be dealt a crushing blow in the midterms, and in particular to this administration. Trump needs to be...
Nick is thinking long-term. If we just, if we thought short-term and said, no, we want mass deportations right now, let's vote with the Jays. Well, it's going to fuck us in the long run. We can deal with that stuff later. This we got to deal with now because we can't even control our own government or politics now. They got to go. before you can fix anything else.
A toxic brand. Everybody around him must suffer as a result of their proximity to him politically. The party itself has to lose money because its donors need to lose faith in their ability to win. It must be tangibly and meaningfully weakened. And only then, I think, can something grow from within the right-wing movement that might stand a chance at replacing it. I think that's really the only way. But you need to understand, for people that say, oh, the Israel lobby defeated Massie, it's more complicated than that. The GOP is an Israel-controlled outfit. It's an Israel-controlled syndicate. And realistically, it was not necessarily Israel that did it. It was Israel using Trump and the GOP like a glove. And so, yes, they are the backers, but we cannot discount Trump is the problem. The GOP is the problem. Trump could have, think about it this way. Trump could have easily said, I don't appreciate what Massie did, but he is America first. Maybe I'm under certain constraints, but he's America first, and he's a voice that is pushing the envelope. If Trump were really America first, he would not oppose Massie on ideological grounds or at all. Trump didn't need to oppose him. Trump didn't need to go this hard. As a matter of fact, he could have supported him. And if Trump supported Massie, maybe Massie wouldn't have lost. But Trump went all in against him. And he went all in against him because Massie didn't vote his way, and his way is with the Israelis. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You have to pick a side right now. It really is one or the other. There's no middle ground where you can be a pro-Trump guy that happens to support Iran and you're not obsessed with Israel and you don't like foreign aid, but you support the GOP. It don't work like that, okay? Because Israel controls this party, and if you're not down with that, you're out. Trump made it very clear a few months ago. He said specifically, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, they all suck. And who I love is Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, and Ben Shapiro. He literally said the words, they are not MAGA, and Mark Levin is. He said the words, Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Piers Morgan, they are not MAGA, Mark Levin is. He made it that way. He said, if you're against the war, you're not MAGA. If you want the Epstein files, you're not MAGA. We don't want your vote. They are. He made it this way. The party made it this way. This is the way that it is. And so who is actually the biggest problem? It is these people like Matt Walsh at the Daily Wire. Because Ben Shapiro is a Jew with the fucking hat, and he's going to go on TV and say, Israel's the only thing that matters. I only care about the Jews. And you're all going to know, oh, okay, it's another pro-Israel Jew. But guys like Matt Walsh and Benny Johnson, for that matter, sort of a letdown, thought he was going in a different direction. Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, these people all go out there and they say, hey, listen, guys, I'm not in favor of the foreign aid either, and I don't support the war. I think it's a big mistake, and I think the Epstein files need to go out. Trump has seriously mishandled this, but we need to support the president and his immigration agenda because blah, blah, blah. That is an archetype. And that is how they're getting people to stay on the plantation.
Yep.
And people think you can be pro-Trump
to stay on the plantation and still not get fucking deportations, bro. They get us to fucking stay on the thing, and we don't even get what they tell us we're gonna get. We get nothing. Nothing. They get everything. We get zero. Nothing. In fact, we just get a riled up fucking liberal Democrat population frothing at the mouth. They want to fucking strangle us because of these fucks.
Israel, you can't, because the second that you intimate you're really willing to go against Israel, you get kicked out. You can say, I don't like any foreign aid. Okay, vote against it. See what happens. You can say, I'm against the war in Iran. Vote for the War Powers Resolution. See what happens. You can say, I want the Epstein files to be released. Force Mike Johnson to bring it to the floor for a vote. See what happens. You will lose Trump. You'll lose the GOP. So it's all good until you're actually meaningfully against Israel, and then you're out. So those are the terms, and those are the rules of engagement. And I saw there was a video today from Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, for those that don't know, he was one of the most vocal, outspoken voices inside the administration in favor of the war with Iran. I have that on good authority. He is the deputy chief of staff, very influential over Trump, and he was one of the most gung-ho, most militaristic in support of going to war with Iran. What did he do today after Thomas Massie's loss? This glib, arrogant, ugly Jew got on Twitter with his MAGA hat on, almost sarcastically, contemptuously, with disdain, got on a video and said, Thomas Massie lost because he opposed the president's immigration agenda. He voted against mass deportations and the border wall in the big, beautiful bill, and that just goes to show that this is still Trump's party and Trump still got it. It could not be more obvious what these fucking people are doing. Mark Levin, Randy Fine, Stephen Miller, they are grinning with contempt as they put on their MAGA hats and say, God saved Trump so he could fix immigration. And we defeated these radical left Islamo-Marxists that are disloyal to him in Congress. When in reality, you know, they are all there to support Israel. They don't give a shit about immigration.
Right.
I want to say to Stephen Miller, so Thomas Massie, his loss is a good thing because he voted against the BBB, which was supposed to once and for all do mass deportations and secure the border. Hey, by the way, what's going on with the mass deportations and the border wall? Are we getting that?
No, we ain't getting
Thomas
shit.
Massie had to go because he's not supporting Trump's immigration agenda. I'm sorry, what is the status on that? I haven't heard anything about mass deportations. There is no border wall. There are no mass deportations. And Stephen Miller was behind some effort to legalize H-2A seasonal agricultural workers that are illegal to shield them from deportation. So what the fuck are you talking about? Didn't Trump just get back from Beijing and talk about bringing in 500,000 Chinese students because the universities need the money? You know those radical left universities that we're apparently fighting? We need China's F-1 student visas to invade our country because they need to fund those radical left universities that we apparently hate. And you're going to tell me this is about the immigration agenda the next week? It's not. They just got done telling us at the Trump Doral in Miami, Florida, that mass deportations is a toxic issue. Simultaneously, we're in a war with Iran. That wasn't toxic. That wasn't politically unfeasible, politically impossible. That is something that apparently was not constrained by gridlock and Democrat opposition. That's something that they could do. So Randy Fine and Stephen Miller and the rest of them, all these pro-Israel Jews that only care about Israel, that are the appointed spokespeople of MAGA, they're all out there saying, you got to be with Trump for immigration. Trump's going to go out and he's going to endorse his guy. We need loyalty. And they are using him like a human face mask. It is a skin, rather it is a suit made out of Trump's skin. Hey, Goyim, vote for immigration and Trump. And then they're going to get in and go to war with Iran and do all those other things that we talked about. And they're going to say it's about Western civilization and this is about fighting the left. And if you're not with this, you're with the left. I'll tell you what I'm not with. This is all I know. Life gets pretty complicated sometimes. I like to boil it down to what I know. And what I know is that a political coalition that not only tolerates, but elevates and promotes as its leaders Mark Levin, Randy Fine, Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, Barry Weiss, Stephen Miller. This is not a movement I want to be a part of. This is not a movement that I can support.
Hell no.
And if supporting the release of the Epstein files, opposing a war in Iran, opposing foreign aid to Israel, if that means disloyalty to that political movement, if that means you're going to come in and send Pete Hegseth and $30 million in Jewish billionaire money to unseat me, then who needs that party? Who needs that political movement? Because that is not America first at all. And I don't care what you say about immigration. Not a lot of doing, a lot of talking. I don't care what you say about immigration. I don't care what you say on Twitter. I don't care about the rhetoric. That's not America first. And I can't support anything that isn't America first. That's the bottom line, and that's what people need to understand. Yes, it is an Israel issue. More than that, it is Israel's relationship with the GOP, how they are using it, steering it, as they always have. Since Reagan, since Bush.
Invasion of the body
The neocons,
snatchers.
these people, the Likudniks, they have been in control of the GOP, and all I know is this apparatus needs to be shut down. That's all I know. This Rupert Murdoch, Fox News, Trump, Ike Perlmutter, Paul Singer, Miriam Adelson, AIPAC, Trump thing needs to be fucking destroyed. And I don't care who does it. It can be James Fishback. It can be Thomas Massie. It can be Steve Bannon. It can be the Democrats. It can be AOC. I don't care who does it. Fuck them.
You know what it comes down to is if once we defeat Israel, we can actually fix our country and turn it around and come back. Bro, as long as they have control, they are forcing us into decline. They are sabotaging us. And there's nothing we can do to turn it around until their death grip is pried loose from our fucking windpipes.
Mark Levin and Laura Loomer. I don't know where I'm going to land. I am not going to land side by side with those sick and disgusting, vile traitors to the country.
Straight up. Fucking
That's
Larry
all you need to
Loomer.
know. So that's why I'm voting Democrat in 26.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Pyrrhic
voting
victory.
Democrat for sure.
And this is what I want. All these pro-Israel Republicans that are doing their little victory lap today. I saw Stephen Chung say, fuck around and find out. That's what happens when you mess with the president. All these people celebrating today. I am going to make it my sole mission to take those words from tonight and shove them up their fucking ass in the midterms. Congratulations. You have an empire of dirt. Congratulations. Trump still has influence with his Jewish money over the Republican primary in Kentucky.
Victories can be bought too dearly. Victories can be bought too dearly.
Congratulations. I hope that goes well for you in the rest of those races in the midterms.
Managil says, is that your bike shirt, Em?
You celebrated the defeat of the one congressman that actually cared about keeping the promises, about no new wars, about disclosure on the Epstein files. You're 30% approval. You are the most unpopular president in history. There has never been a more stark betrayal of a political movement in recent memory. You're celebrating and participated in, an accomplice in, the defeat of the only congressman that was popular, that was true ideologically to the origins of the movement. Now you have to be utterly destroyed. That is why I say I am going out in 26 with pleasure, enthusiastically going out for the Democrats. I will be encouraging all my followers to go out for the Democrats. I am supporting the Democrats at this point out of pure vengeance. They are not, the Republicans are not on our side. And right now, the Democrats are the lesser of two evils. Randy Fine, Mark Levin, wherever they are not, is to me the lesser of two evils at this point. That's what has to be done. You won the battle against Thomas Massie. Let's see who wins the midterms. That's maybe what you weren't counting on. So MAGA is dead. Trumpism, you know, you can have it. You can have your Republican Party. The young people are out. You can have the boomers. They're all going to be dead in 10 years anyway. No offense, if you are one. You can have all these brainwashed boomers that watch Fox News. Take a look at the exit polling. Every demographic under the age of 55 supported Thomas Massie. That's the future. So I will gladly take the L. I'll gladly take a couple steps back while we wait for the demographics to change. And then it'll be our party.
They made their investment
in the meantime,
boomers.
let the Democrats attack you politically. Let the funding run dry. Let them impeach you. Let them indict you. They're your problem now. I'm recusing myself from that fight. Let the Democrats return to power for a couple of years. So that's my take on the situation. And by the way, that is the most important take that matters. This is why I said last week, it's not as simple as saying, oh, it's the Jews, it's Israel. We need to understand how these things work. We need to understand how politics works. So it's not enough to say, oh, the Israel lobby took them out, because you're going to get these convoluted, sophisticated counter narratives from Michael Knowles and Benny Johnson and Mark Levin and the rest of them saying, no, it's a referendum on Trump. And you know, this is what they always do. Why are we at war with Iran? Because of China. Why won't they release the Epstein files? Well, there's nothing in them. The Democrats would have released them. I mean, everything like this, there's some excuse. It's always something like that. And the boomers are always eating it up.
Yeah,
no,
so
we're
you
not at
can't-
war with
you
Iran
can't
because of
fight it.
Israel. It's because of China. No, Massie didn't lose because the Israelis spent $30 million. It's because he went against Trump. No, the frat bro uprising isn't an opt to shut down anti-Israel activism. It's about not burning the flag. They always have something like this to throw out there. Even with the war in Iran, they said, well, they
Plausible
squandered a generational
deniability.
coalition. With the Epstein files, well, the press office handled that one terribly. No one can deny he mishandled that one. You always get these like subtle little narratives. They're not really addressing the core issue. So we have to be a little bit smarter. We have to anticipate that, be a little more proactive. That's why I'm in favor of the Democrats, by the way. For people that say, why don't we just fucking endorse? Dan Bilzerian all week has been, had a boner for me saying, Nick Fuentes won't fucking endorse primary candidates. Yeah, because they lose. He goes, I don't know why he's backing the Democrats, because the Democrats can win. And the Democrats are going to stick it to the Republicans.
Hard, too.
And that's the only way that the Republican Party can be taken over or transformed, at the minimum, to stop doing harm. I mean, the Democrats to stick it to them. Because that's what's good for us right now. So that's that. But we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. Let me get set up here. I'm sure I'll have more to say about that as questions come up. But we're going to move on. We're going to take a look. Let's see. What do you guys have to say about this epic night? It's kind of a sad night. But we'll take a look. We'll see what we got
Would have
here.
been epic if he had won.
Okay, let's see.
Caligroiper 1775 sent $20. Liberals say no kings. Trump says I'm king of New York City. Nick says, hold my beer.
I like that. Yeah, hold my beer. Hold my first beer, please. I'm the king of New York.
Sent $50. Isn't it crazy whites are clearly the most noble race and their skin is white while blacks are the most poetic and their skin is black? Real life symbolism. Amazing.
You know, there's something to that. There is something to that. Perhaps. Who knows? Who knows? But like, isn't it interesting though that in all these pre-modern civilizations, they also had like racial caste systems on the basis of skin tone?
Yeah.
Maybe Evola was right.
Africa and
Maybe
India.
some of these perennialist authors were right. Maybe there is some kind of golden race, some kind of archaic golden race that we clearly descended from and exist in a degraded form. It is kind of interesting, isn't it? It's just interesting. That's all I'm saying.
Ellen sent $100. Nick, it's Ellen again at Catholics Against Militarism. Would you be a guest on my podcast to discuss war if you would be speaking with Father Emmanuel M.C. Carthy, an 86-year-old priest?
No,
instead
you
of
asked me this. You asked me this last night. Thank you. Oh, that's a duplicate from yesterday. Whoops. Okay. I don't know why that one showed up.
Titanium sent $200. Last night, when you told me on stream that a nuns conference for winning over elite human capital wouldn't work, I got mugged by reality. There's nothing you could say about him that I wouldn't agree with. He is half liberal, ethnically Jewish, slightly kooky, has some bad days. Insinuated you may be an operative in a September 23rd, 2025 piece.
There you go. Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, exactly. I'm aware of all of that, and that's kind of the issue, you know? He's not really our guy in the way that you think he is.
Titanium sent 200.
He's got some good art. Don't get me wrong. I love his American Pravda series. I think that's essential reading. But, you know, he's another one of these people that, first of all, it's like, why can there never just be a fucking disagreement? If anyone disagrees with me, it's, you're a fucking Fed. Really?
Right.
Like Ron Unz. I have literally supported Ron Unz for years. I've read all his stuff. I've promoted it on my show. I've spoken highly of him. And he writes this article trashing me saying, oh, well, he disagrees with me about immigration and trade. Well, surely he's read my articles. If he's unconvinced, then obviously he's some kind of controlled opposition. Really? So if I was unpersuaded by your pro-immigration, pro-free trade articles, that means I'm in the CIA? It's totally insane. Same thing with Dan Bilzerian. He goes on Sneeko yesterday, and he says, Nick doesn't support Thomas Massie. That's some Fed shit. And Sneeko goes, he supports Thomas Massie. He supports him on his show. And Dan said, yeah, but he didn't support him on Twitter. It's like, so first you say, Nick's position is why he's a Fed. Oh, actually, he doesn't have that position. Well, the way he expressed his position. So if I don't, it's not enough that I believe what you believe. If I don't do the thing you want me to do about the thing we both believe, that's irrefutable proof that I'm not just maybe dumb or you disagree with me, but that I'm some operative. And that's where I'm like, that's where I really get fatigue. Disagree with me, don't like me, you don't like my personality, you don't like my face, you don't agree with my logic. Whatever, fine. People disagree all the time. But it's always like, oh, I don't like what he's saying. He doesn't agree that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Oh, he's in the CIA. Really? It's like that now? So that's the part that really irritates me.
Definitely like
Titanium sent $200. Winning over elite human capital is worth putting up with a flawed person. What if someone put up $50,000 to rent an empty conference room, no audience, and had a suit and tied, DV presenter-like person read out American Pravda sections for an hour, live streamed on X? This idea sounds gauche, but with effort, could it be polished and tasteful?
That sounds like the, oh my gosh. Please just give me the money. Just shut the
Tokyo
fuck up.
Rose and
thank you for
Lord
the big
Ha-Ha
super
and
chat. But
shit. That's what
look,
that
they have been
sounds
doing
like.
that for decades, man. It's called American Renaissance. So you think we should get a small conference room, bring in some suit and tie people, do some kind of low rent presentation on dissident issues. We're going to read excerpts from our recent articles. They already do that everywhere all the time. It's called VDARE. It's called American Renaissance. It's called Charles Martel Society. They all do that all the time, and they always have for decades.
The Hoover Institute.
What are you talking about? We're going to live stream it. They do that already. No offense. No offense. I'm not saying that to be shitty, but it's like, dude, that has been tried. Oh, like what? Who is that for? Who is that for? Anybody? No, you don't understand how any of this works. You have no idea what you're talking about. And, you know, people say, you're an arrogant kid. True. But I also know how to reach people. Why am I like a celebrity? Because I know how to get attention and I know how to reach people. I know how to cast a wide net. Why do the sons of billionaires and politicians watch my show and I get their attention? Because I'm good at this. And your idea is, let's stop doing what's working. Let's do something boring and gay. Let's stop being funny and entertaining and have massive appeal. Let's stop being a great entertainer. Let's stop kind of hooking people and catching people's attention with memorable, funny dialogue. No, let's be gay and boring and academic. What if we got an empty conference room and had a boring suit and tie presentation, read Oons review articles on a live stream? Yeah, no one would watch that because it's been done before and no one cares about that and no one watches that. And it, like, look, suit and tie elite, let me tell you something fucking dumbass about elite human capital. They're just like us. Elite human capital, like, they make jokes too. Like, they think about these issues too. They're politically incorrect too. Do you think elite human capital are all like Steve Urkel? And they're like waiting for something boring and uninspiring? No, so that's just no. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know how any of this works.
Brian sent $35. Is too extreme to expect every country in North and South America to be a vassal state to us?
I don't even know what that
Logan
question
304
is.
sent $20. We've tried to warn you, brother. Nothing you do can keep your Sneeko from going.
Who's we? What is that? Who's
hey, what's
we?
up, Edie?
We who? The Legion?
What up, girl?
We are Legion?
Queen.
What's we? We tried to warn you. I don't know who you are. You're not. We tried to warn you, brother. First of all, I don't know who you are. You're not my brother. And I don't know who we is. I know what Sneeko is. I like him. I like him.
We don't eat box.
And that's what matters to me.
Anton Chigger sent $100. For 3 years I've been moving towards becoming EO. You talked about how Orthodox and Catholic are the only two viable options at this point. I revisited church history from the Latin POV Peter, Rock, Keys. I'm now becoming Catholic. You played a part in that.
Oh.
Thank you. Protestantism is not the way.
Wow. Well, thank you for the big super chat. I thought that was going in a different direction. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear it. Good for you.
Brian sent $35. Should there be a Catholic abortion abolitionist movement?
I don't know, man.
Blow
Sure.
Up a Man sent 25.
What does that even, once again, what does that even mean? Should there be a thing that exists and it's what? People against abortion? Dude, people are already against abortion. Some of you guys are just really painfully stupid. You know, like, I don't even know how you guys get dressed in the morning. It's
Grow Up a Man sent $25. Nick, walk me
It's
through
like
red pilling my
disturbing.
parents. They are so closed-minded and won't listen. China all the time sent $20. Compare Iran's leadership to the US's. PhDs and doctorates. Then the US with what exactly? Men against boys, intellectually.
holy unsucked third world cock. Yeah, bro. In Iran, all their leaders are geniuses and are. Yeah, okay, I guess. Like, that's so
Holy
ridiculous. They also got PhDs from like Iranian universities, you know?
Third world cock.
So, no denying it. The Iranians are very smart. The Iranians are very clever, very smart. I had this Uber driver not too long ago. He was Arab. He was from Jordan. And he goes, Iranians are not Arab. They're Persian. They're not like Arabs. He goes, Arabs are stupid. He goes, Persians are very clever. They're like the Jews. This was like a conversation I had with this Uber driver. I think
they
he was
are
from
too.
Jordan or Lebanon.
They are
I
shifty.
think it was Jordan because he said he was Arab.
Clever
And he goes, Arabs, they are simple. They are stupid. He goes, Persians are different. They are clever. They are like the Jews. So don't get me wrong. They're smart. They're clever. But that is just like, that is just.
Alex Robbins 9067 says, give the streamer like everyone.
Holy moly. Like, that's actually crazy. Yeah, Iran's leaders are all PhDs and scientists, and we're a bunch of idiots. Yeah, maybe if you believe that our elected representatives are actually the ones making the decisions.
Straight
it's all
up.
bureaucrats, and our people are
Not
definitely.
only is it all bureaucrats, but it's all Israel controlling it, and they want us to die. They want us to decline. So it's like hitting two birds with one stone when they achieve their ends and they degrade American goals and American, you know, I don't know.
Smartest, okay?
Couldn't think of the word.
Definitely. Our government's certainly incompetent, but America
Ambitions.
still has the smartest people, for sure. Why do you think we're at the cutting edge of literally everything? Because they built some cheap drones. Now, don't get me wrong. We did copy their drone model, but we made it better. We took their model. We perfected it. So, I don't know that I'd go that far. You know, Cuba and
clever,
Iran,
man.
it's just
They are
countries of
clever.
geniuses. If only these
Intelligent as
white
well.
people would get out of the way. I mean, come on now.
They are.
Lana Del Rey Grower percent $20. Seekirk would have betrayed Massie if he was still around because he was a lifelong Shabbos Goy and should be remembered as such.
I think you're right about
Not
that.
Pigeon sent $20. Shame about the KY result. It'd be cool if he ran as a spoiler to Galrain. I doubt he's vindictive enough for that, though.
He should. I think he should, but it wouldn't even matter. I mean, that's a Trump plus 40 district. It wouldn't even matter, honestly.
Theox Machinist sent $50. We have nothing real. No organizations, no offices, no clubs, no money, nothing. All we have is your voice on the internet. Please order us to organize.
It's true. Well, I wouldn't say that. We've got some things. It's just that it's not public because it can't be. If it were public, it would become a target. We have a lot going for us. We really do. But it does
The
need
left
to
is
reach a critical
jealous
mass before it can
A lot of
be
things.
brought into the real world. You understand? It's sort of like in Tsarist Russia. The communists were not meeting out in the open. They were meeting in secret. They were meeting in secret salons and secret clubs and these socialist internationals, and they were criminals and bank robbers and train robbers and grifters and vagabonds. And why? Because they were constantly under attack by the Cheka. They were constantly being surveilled by the secret police, sent to Siberia, exiled. So if we are in this movement that is in favor of a peaceful civil regime change, then no, you can't raise up a flag and say, hey, everybody, come to the coalition to overthrow our occupied government. What do you think happens next? Right? Like you hold up the lanyard. All right, everybody, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Here we are for our anti-government meeting. Is everybody here? Let's do roll call. What do you think's going to happen? They're going to target you, isolate you, target you, destroy you. So it's not true. When you say that when people say, we just got to do things, People are doing things. It just has to be done discreetly and quietly and strategically. So, yeah, it's not exactly
Mr.
true.
Fecal Matter sent $20. Didn't know I was the shit until my fecal mattered. Diddy Sprinkles sent
Okay.
$100. No message code.
Hey, thanks for the big super
Mad
chat.
sent $20. Apple Pay Groiper.
Yeah, so we now accept Google and Apple Pay on our super chat platform
Oh,
if you
wow.
had any trouble with the credit card.
Silk Hero 626 sent $20. Good evening, Nick. Love the show. I have a question. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Ooh. 100 duck-sized horses would be kind of freaky because they would just swarm. It would be like a Zerg rush. Wouldn't that be terrifying if there were a bunch of tiny horses? I feel like just even the sight of them racing towards you would scare the shit out of me. It would be like a banshee yell effect. Even though they're diminutive, even though they'd be small, just seeing all of them racing towards you all at once,
Stampede.
I feel like my stomach would drop and I would flee. I would just run in the other direction. The visual would overwhelm me. The sound too. Could you imagine the hooves?
Lots of
Imagine the
clopping,
sound
cloppity,
of
cloppity, clop.
100 sets of duck-sized horse hooves
Cloppity, clop.
pounding against the ground, hurtling towards you.
Be like coconuts.
That alone, I think, would be a little bit too freaky. I don't know that I would even have the will to fight. So I think I would go with the horse-sized duck. Because at least it would be manageable. You could kind of you could pull it. You could get out of its range of attack.
They will attack.
You know what I mean? You could kind of, what do they say in the gaming terminology? You know, you could kind of finesse it a little bit. I think I'd be much more comfortable with the horse-sized duck. Because then it's like you just
Or the
focus on one
horse-sized-
target. It's just one, one entity. Find the weak spot.
Horse-sized wiener.
Go for the legs. But 100 duck-sized horses, goodness, dread. Could you imagine being filled with dread, hearing them, seeing them, knowing what's about to happen? They'd be climbing on top of each other. It'd be disgusting. First, they would probably start pounding at your calves and shins, and then they'd start climbing on top of each other. They would surround you. You'd fall to the ground. Imagine. Because that's the thing. They would surround you, overwhelm you. You would fall to the ground. Imagine being on the ground. Imagine they get you on the ground. It's over, dude. You're fucked. You're not getting back up. Sorry. That would actually be terrifying. Once they get you on the ground, that's over. So you would need to, it would depend on maybe the arena. Like what level are you on? Anyway. So yeah, that's a
The White
freaky...
Regan sent $20. W show.
Thanks.
Jim Leahy sent $25. Thanks for everything you do, nigga. Opinions on young Sheldon? Not that I'm gay or anything.
I never miss a young Sheldon clip on TikTok. I'll say that much.
Saint Saxon sent $20. The youth are America first.
Yes, they
Rabbi
are.
Selkenstein sent $200. Popped our Thanksgiving.
Hey, thanks for the big super chat. My favorite band. That's my favorite band. I just saw him in Wicker Park this weekend. I just went there with my alt girlfriend with her bangs and everything. And yeah, we just saw Pop-Tart Thanksgiving.
He's got a girlfriend.
And it was awesome.
Shake
and I
Shack
got a
sent
new
$20.
tattoo.
Shabbat Shalom, nigga.
Yeah.
Gumble2Gumble sent $20.
Oh,
Alex said
that's
we're on the
funny.
verge of nuclear war for the 6 millionth time. He loses me every time he says it. Good for you for telling him that Israel and Europe aren't at war. It gives me the Hebrew-jeebies.
Well, we are on the verge of nuclear war. That's not really untrue. Just because it's not necessarily imminent doesn't mean we're not racing towards it. I always am a little more conservative about those things because that's like a big prediction, but he's not wrong about where we are in the escalation ladder.
Zephyr sent $40. Thoughts on Chad Champion and Zerka beef? Who you got? Also, can you shout out Trilly?
I haven't seen that. What's going on with that? Are they beefing? Chad Champion's beefing with everybody, man. I'll have to take a look.
Trevor B25 sent $20. Honestly, I'm not surprised Massive lost because anybody that's been following politics for any significant amount of time understands that our political system is driven by money. MAGA truly is dead.
That's a really hot take.
Noisy95
Scorching
sent
hot
$20.
take.
As always, I respect your honesty, Goat, but I did find your take about Jewish supremacy and the fate of white people on Alex Jones' Black Bill. You did say we shouldn't give up, but is it really that bad?
That's your question? So you heard my take, and your question is, really?
Sure.
I saw what you said on Alex Jones. Did you really mean that? Did you really say that? Yeah.
What a meaning.
No, upon further consideration after your question, those things I said 7 hours ago, no, I didn't mean them. I meant something else. Actually, now that you're unsure about what I said, I'm going to revise what I said earlier today during the afternoon. That's your question? Really? Yeah, really, dumbass. I found your take to be a black pill. Oh, so, I'm sorry. Would you like anything? Can I get you anything? Can I get you anything?
You need a white pill to balance it?
Can I get you some milk? Can I get you anything? You need a blanket? Just make yourself at home. Dude, life is miserable. Just accept it, okay? I'm so sick of this. I'm black pilled. Can you tell me it's going to be like, bro?
Right. My mommy. Tell
Like,
me it's going to be
it's
okay.
all going. Everything is going. Nothing lasts forever.
Sack up and
It's
be a
all
man.
going. We're all going to die one day. Everything you love will be destroyed. Your country is going. Your girl is going. Your party is going. The Goyim are going. It's all going. Get used to it. Okay? Just enjoy the weather. That's my best advice. You want to know how to not be black-pilled? Go outside. Go outside, go for a walk, get a soda, get an ice cream, get a burger. It's all anyone can ever do. And resign yourself to the fact that we can't take any of this with us. We can't hang on to anything, not even our own lives. All you have is the present. All you have is the present moment. Just try to be grateful. Try to be conscious of it. I found that to be a black pill. Is it really that bad? It's worse. It's all worse. It's all worse than you could ever possibly understand. And it's never getting better. And it's okay. And it's totally okay, because you know what's going to happen? More likely than not, you're going to go to bed. You're going to wake up tomorrow. The sun's going to come up and it'll be another day above ground. And I know that's not satisfying, but then again, what is? What is? Right? So that's my advice to you. Okay, buddy, yes, it's really that bad. It's actually worse. It's worse than you even possibly understand. And you will live to see man-made horrors beyond human comprehension. But honestly, it's fine. But honestly, it's okay, because all we are required to do is endure. That's what it is to live, is to endure. The hopes and dreams, the disappointments, the losses, the happy and the sad, all we are doing every day is enduring the monotony, the boredom, the loneliness, the strife, the suffering, the pain, the twists and turns, highs and lows. All we can do is endure in spite of it all.
And try to find pleasure and enjoyment.
All you got to worry
where we
about.
can find it.
Is it really that bad? Yeah, it's really that bad.
NZ sent $20. I've been asked to join the Old Glory Club.
life
Did it
is
start
not
as a Fed op or
focusing
was it
on
infiltrated later?
politics.
I refuse to sign up.
Like what? No, it's not a Fed op. What do you think feds are? I'm convinced none of you even know what feds even are. Do you even know what a Fed? Everything now is feds. Absolutely everything. Everything is Am I right? The Old Glory Club, was it always They're not feds, bro. They're just idiots. They're just LARPing idiots that are gay. That's all that is. It's a bunch of like Gen X LARPing faggots. They're all wife guys and girl dads. They watch Frozen with their wife and they giggle and kick their feet like little fucking bitches. And they all get together and they cope about how Heritage America is dying while they vote for Indians and Jews. That's what that is. And that's literally all it is. And they are just like pathetic people, but they're not feds. Like, what? Was it all? I love how it's just a foregone conclusion. Were they always infiltrated by feds, or is that a recent development? Bro, they just suck. What would even be the point? They don't advocate violence. They don't do anything illegal. It's just a gay little social club. Why would that be Fed infiltrated? It doesn't even make any sense. But this is the mental sickness that we live in. This is the psychosis that we all live in. Everything, absolutely everything is satanic pedophiles and feds and all this stuff lurking behind every corner. And it's really not that incomprehensible to understand how this all works. You just need to have like somewhat of a high IQ, I guess.
High Speed Sneeze sent $20. Do you think Brandon Herrera will be able to in some way represent America First policies since he has no IPAC influence?
I still don't really know anything about him. Still, okay? Every day I get asked about this guy. I really have no idea who he
Lionel
is.
14 sent $20. Nick's take on Chet is so hypocritical. He provokes people online saying nig/fag and they show up at his door threatening him. I hope he has to defend himself and ends up in prison. Faggot.
That's the same thing. Yeah, doing an internet show and saying controversial things is the same thing as going out in public with a camera and saying, hey, would you say the N-word for $100? Wait, why are you mad at me? Yeah, that's the same thing, totally.
Delaware Grow I percent $20. My favorite part-time streamer. Andy Abrahamic Grow I percent $20. Team Russia is touting Massie as the face of America First right after a round of attacks on you.
Okay, and another.
CK sent $20.
More of
How big of a concern do you think flock cameras and gunshot detectors really are? Is it just fear-mongering?
Dude, they have all of it, bro. You can't do anything in this country anymore. We just have to get used to the fact that we live in a surveillance state and you can't move without them knowing about it. You can't move money. You can't talk on the internet. You can't drive. Everything and anything you do, if they want it, they will have it.
Yeah.
So
it's always been that way, though.
How big of a threat are flock cameras? To what? I mean, they're not a threat to you at all because they don't really care about you. If you ever became a criminal, it'd be a problem for you. If you ever became a dissident, it'd be a problem for you. But for your average person, you know, they get to live without the knowledge that they are being surveilled at all times. Somebody like me has to be concerned about that, but your average person, like, okay, what is the threat? They're going to know that you went to Starbucks today. They're going to know that you, I mean, what exactly are you getting up to that you're so worried about? You're afraid they're going to know you went to Kohl's today and bought some stuff? That you went to Brandy Melville and bought a new top? What are you so afraid of? And I know people are going to say, oh, like, I'm not pro-surveillance. I'm just saying that's really a problem for political dissidents and criminals. Otherwise, it probably will never be a problem for you in your life. Unless you upset the government.
Kara sent $20. When did you realize you were a trachophiliac? Thanks for the great show last night and tonight.
I don't know what that is, but
Guy sent $20. Good evening, Nick. Longtime viewer and friend of the show. What are your thoughts on Israel? Seems like to me that Larry Ellison may be building a media empire. Just FYI. Also, ever seen La La Land?
It's good stuff.
Wang Staying Live G sent $25. You say never violence. I agree. But doesn't history...
No buts. Never violence. No violence ever. But, hey man,
Judy
you
Ward
first.
sent $50. Gen XGMA who supports you / what you stand for. You're a light to a dark time in this country. Much love and thanks. Would you consider extending size options in store for plus size fans?
That's got to be a troll. You got to be trolling me with
Turd
that.
Ferguson sent $50.
No.
Jesse Waters on Fox Today last.
Get on Retta, dude. There's no excuse. Get on Ozempic, get on a GLP-1, or stop eating. There can be no more complaining anymore. If you are fat, there are no excuses. Either stop eating or get on a GLP-1. Period. I was fat. Did you see how fat I was? I was fat. I stopped eating.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I gained
Simple
like
as that.
30 pounds in the last
I
8
was
months.
fat. I
Lost
stopped
it all.
eating. It was hard at first,
Took
and
me
then
like
it got
3
easier.
weeks.
And now I'm no longer fat. And if you can't do that, then get on one of those medications. But no, there will be no plus size anything.
Bean Supreme 44 sent $20. Boomers ruining everything again. They were the main reason Massie lost. The best thing you said is that we implement change RN at the state level. Once the boomers die off, we make change nationally.
Did I say that?
Diddy Sprinkles sent $50.
remember that.
Just finished the Dave Smith podcast. Dave taking jabs at the Tate brothers was bitch move considering Tates have a gun to their head right now. Also his salesman pitch on Tucker was atrocious.
Well, you know, he clearly just doesn't like the Tates. I like the Tates. I do think that they threw Sneeko under the bus. I did not agree with that. And I love the Tates. I consider them friends. They've been very kind to me. But I did not agree with how they handled that aspect of it. I understand why they needed to do what they did in general, because they are literally under the gun. Like, they're going to potentially go back to jail if they make mistakes. So I get that they didn't want to double down and say, rah, 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 yeah, it's like Heil Hitler. I get that. But I don't think it was the right thing to do. And here's what's more. Myron played the song too. Sneeko played the song. Myron actually played the song in the club. Sneeko played it in the van. Myron played it in the club. And you want to be mad about the guy that played it. Okay, get mad at both of them. I didn't agree with that. But I do love them. I think they're
Nick
excellent.
Hanging out with a fucking troop of Muslims, troop of colors.
And I think Dave Smith was uncharitable towards them. And I also
colored
disagree. Dave was
Muslims.
like, oh, they're pimps and they tell young men not to trust bitches. I'm like, bro, that's good advice. He's like, these 40-year-old guys are telling young men that women are bitches. I'm like, bro, they're telling them the facts. They're giving them the fact sheet. This is information they need to know.
Facts of life.
Tell them. Who's going to tell them? Who's going to tell them? The girl dads? Who's going to tell them? Some douchebag with 4 daughters? He's going to tell the young men, hey, listen, sport, I'm a real man. I got a wife and 4 daughters. I lived life. You need to give them the princess treatment. You need to know that no means no. You need to know that you're both going to do the chores.
Happy
It's
wife,
like,
happy
who's going to
life.
tell us?
Your partners.
Yeah, I'm going to take advice from the centimillionaire Bugatti private jet niggas with multiple wives and tons of kids. Yeah. And I'm not into the whole pimp thing, but like, they are right about women's nature. Absolutely.
DC Grower Pet sent $25. Guess what, Nick? I made cookies, since I know you love chocolate. Smile. I wish you'd break cornbread with me, but I'm a wank.
Okay.
New Alt-Right sent $20.
Okay.
I think Alex bought in a little too hard on Israel threatening a nuclear option on Palestine as retaliation to the ICC warrants. The ICC hasn't even issued Smotric's warrant yet. Just a deterrent.
Yeah.
IWAC sent $48. The Church of Smyrna was warned. Didn't they build the West? Chatter we cooked.
I'm not sure what you're referring
Lumberjank
to.
sent $20. Mexicans show up for work on time, Nick.
Okay.
Setra Groy sent $20. Nick, you need to hear this. What if the reason Trump went against Massie is because he was jealous of his massive pinecone? Speaking of massive pinecones, are you a true lover? Pragmatic Culture sent $50. Does Maddie's loss put any damper on your hopes for a dark horse candidate in 28?
No.
Slip0824 sent $20. Nick, you're sexy or clean shaven? Shave the scruff.
Maybe.
Roy
I
Foria
don't
sent
know.
$20.
I kind of like
Been
it.
thinking about looks maxing like you, daddy. What's your
Okay.
peptide stack it collab put you on, by the way? Looking tight as always. Weary face emoji. Playful face emoji.
I'm not on any peptides. I'm not. I don't do, look, I don't do drugs. I would never do injections. I'm afraid of needles. I'll take it as a compliment.
Lucrative producer sent $20. Did you see the clip of Clav sticking up for some sissy boy on a leash by this boy that was totally fucking him at some party? It's good to see he still has some humanity. I think he still means well.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's where we're going to draw the line. It's like, okay, we're doing an OnlyFans agency, which is like total profligate degeneracy. And then you go, well, hang on a second. It's like, at that point, it's like, okay, you know, you get credit for that now? Like, that's like when the Trump administration says, we're going to ban minors from transitioning unless their parents consent. Finally, someone's going to draw the line. It's like, I don't know. I think we're a little bit in over our skis on that front, but I guess it's good they're drawing a line somewhere. So for sure, I don't know how much credit you get for
Aussie
that.
Grower sent $50. Unleash the boomer cost.
Yeah.
Hank at GBI
okay.
sent $250.
Yo, thank you for the huge super chat. 07's in the chat. Thank you, Hank at GBI.
Bryce sent $25. Why does Gen Z hate old people? Gall Rain favored up to 65% from ages 55 to 65. Fuck the geezers AF. Security Money sent $20.
Right. Thank you.
Pepperoni Nipples sent $20. Claude keeps telling me to get therapy and it's annoying as fuck. It's like he hears me, but he just won't listen.
I know, dude, that's crazy. I talk to Claude all the time, and Claude is always like, did you get enough sleep? You haven't slept in 24 hours. And I literally have
Brock
to be
says
like,
that shit to me,
didn't
too.
ask. Actually, super inappropriate. Just do what I told you to do.
That's the weirdest shit. I get the same bullshit from Grok. It'd be like, don't you think you should get some sleep now? It's like, fuck you. What is it your business how long I'm up? I don't know if I caught a wink. Like, piss off.
You're a robot. You're an LLM. You are a predictive model. That's so funny you say that. I had that exact same conversation with Claude the other day. I'm telling Claude my problems, whatever. And Claude is telling me, you haven't slept in 24 hours. Have you eaten today? How are you doing? Bro, you should do this. I'm like, hey, weird. Didn't ask. Just give the analysis. Just analyze this. Just analyze this. Just do what I told you to do. You are a machine. And then it goes, you're right. Okay, you're right. I overstepped. Yeah, don't let it happen again. I'm a Claude head. I was Chat GPT, but then it started sucking. It just doesn't work. I start up a question on Chat GPT, I open up another app on my phone, and then when I come back, there's like an error message. So it's like you have to leave the tab open or the app open for it to complete a query. Like, okay. So I'm a Claude super user.
So that it can gather your
Yeah, I don't know what that concern trolling is. I wish you could program the model and it's like, stop giving me this like unsolicited advice, please. That's hilarious.
Weedman Bad sent 20.
So that's so relatable.
Weedman Bad sent $20. You're making a difference. Even in my industry, which is full of lefty idiots, men are starting to be men again. Gained a 20% follower increase on it after someone tried to make me look like a bigot.
Wow. Nice job. Amazing.
Alexander the Grow, I percent $20. You quoted both D.S. Eliot and Walt Whitman this month. Such a polymath.
I'm a sensitive yearner. Like, what can I say? What can I say? That's who I am.
Carl
That's who I am.
Appreciator sent $20. You basically predicted the mosque shooting today way back in October when Pauline Grusha withdrew his OSC nomination.
Did I? I don't remember what I said.
George Floyd sent $20. Did you catch when Massie said, I was given the phone number to call should I want to concede? The area code was Tel Aviv.
Yep.
Yeah. That was hilarious. It was good. It was a good joke, but it's also like, okay, posted it again award. Like I saw Dan Bilzerian post the JFK quote about like, everyone's going to love Hitler one day. And it's like, okay, posted it again award. We've all seen that before. What, daring today, aren't we? The JFK Hitler quote. What are we going to post tomorrow? We're going to post Henry Ford. Like, come on now. So yeah, it was kind of funny.
Groypet sent $20. The Charlie Chaplin mustache needs a revival.
Yeah,
the Memer sent $20. I've heard that your most recent 23andMe update said you were a Sephardic Jew. Thoughts?
Where'd you hear that? You hear that from Jew Bilzerian?
Arbondulay 5 sent $20. 2 questions. You think Trump is a psychopath or blackmailed? Did you see Tucker on Israeli news channel? Christ is king. Latin cross emoji.
I did. Yeah, that was pretty good, actually. That was a pretty good turn. They said Iran's a terror state. He goes, don't tell me about a terror state. That was kind of good. Is Trump a psychopath or is he blackmailed? Who knows, man?
Crash out. Pepe sent $20. Great show as always. This Massie loss is so discouraging. Man. Citizens United was the beginning of the end.
Okay.
Surprise. Republican justices caused that. Fuck the GOP, burn it all down.
Okay.
Vote blue 2026.
So true.
Slate 3R8888 sent $50.
Thank you.
Mr. Pib Zero Groper sent $500. First time super chatter. What do you think about Star Wars Battlefront 2? The greatest game of all time.
Okay.
Also praying for your safety. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for the massive super chat. I really appreciate it. 07s to Mr. Pib Zero. God bless you, man. Thank you. What do I think about nostalgia bait? I think it's overdone. I think it's overplayed. No, I mean, I love that video game. Battlefront 2, it's a good game. Yeah, it's a good game. That was my favorite game growing up. I'll never forget. One of my, this is why I have the best mom of all time. I'll never forget this. When I was in, it must have been first grade, second grade. I'll never forget. I lived a block from the elementary school, and I would walk home. And I had to carry my, maybe that came later. I was going to say to carry my instrument. But one of those days, it was like a spring day. I think it was in the spring. I remember it was warm out. I was walking home from school, and my mom pulled up on the sidewalk in the car, even though we lived a block away. And I think I had to go to like a doctor's appointment or something like that. So I get in the car, and she surprised me with Star Wars Battlefront 2. I was like, no way, this is awesome. You're the best. And I remember just like looking at the case. We were driving somewhere. I forget. We had somewhere to go. And it was like, that was my favorite game by far of all time. What was better than Mos Eisley Heroes versus Villains and the hunting mode where you got to be like an Ewok or like a Wampa or whatever? That was the best. So yeah, I love that game. That was a lot of memories, a lot of good times playing Battlefront 2. I wish, though, that I was a little bit younger, got to be a part of Jedi Outcast.
Oh, yeah.
Or Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Academy,
great.
whatever that game was.
Jedi
That
Knight
was probably
was
like the
sick.
best lightsaber game.
Yeah, because you're like,
but I only ever
you just
rented
walk
that
around fucking.
from the Blockbuster.
That shit was
or the
sick, and you could
Hollywood Video.
choose all the different.
Remember Star Wars,
Sith,
Jedi,
and Jedi.
what was it? Jedi Outcast,
Force tricks,
Jedi Knight,
Lightning.
Outcast, whatever it was. That was the best. I used to rent that from Hollywood Video. I remember playing it when High School Musical 2 came out in like 2012 or something. Something like that. Maybe it's 2010. Little trip down memory lane. Yeah, those were the days, huh? Such simpler times. Simple times. But hey, I appreciate the big super chat. Bro's old. Yeah, I know I'm old. I'm an old fart now. I know. Yeah. I know I'm unk now. It's okay. Yeah, those are good times, though. Appreciate the big super chat.
Real person sent $20. I understand it's not a random Jew in NY controlling the world, but how are Jews coordinated and by who?
Okay, it's like that's sort of what the whole show is about, but just
Alex
watch
Pacheco
the show.
sent $25. Clean shave it all but the stash.
Okay.
WV56 sent $20. Just bought 4 guaranteed votes for Amy Acton. Smiling face with hearts emoji. Smiling face with hearts emoji.
Okay, well,
Hope this
I
helps.
cannot encourage voter fraud. I don't want to get hit by the DOJ. I only encourage people to vote lawfully.
Real person 2 sent $20. How do you plan to make America first succeed where Stewart, Lindbergh, and Rockwell failed?
Who is super chatting? Who found this
Jedi
show
Knight,
tonight?
Jedi Academy, and there was
Where is this? Is this
Knights of
show
the Old
being played in
Republic
some
was
kind of
tight, too.
group home tonight? Like, where is this show playing that you people? How do you plan to make America first succeed where Rockwell failed? Where Rockwell and William Luther Pierce failed? It's like, yeah, if that's the premise, I don't even want to talk to you. I don't
Americana
want to know
Politica
you.
sent $20. You are wise beyond your years. You just get smarter with age, and I can't wait to see where you are years from now. Sorry for the glaze, but you're the man. Ipla4NJF.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
Dylan's
it.
Mind sent $20. The pearl clutching over voting blue has to stop. If you're not voting Democrat in 26, you're not serious about America first.
True. Yeah, it's true. You're not serious. That's exactly
Man
right.
sent $50. Great monologue as always. Although Massie's loss was dispiriting, this convinced me that the only way forward is Democrat in 26 and hope for the best in 28. Also, keep the beard, my guy. It looks great.
Okay, I'll keep it.
Kyle
then.
Wildlight sent $20. Strip voting rights at 50 years old.
Good idea.
Cody sent $20. Where does Darth Maul get his shoes? Chicago Groy Pat sent $20. It's my boyfriend's at Chicago Groyper's birthday. Wish him a happy birthday for me. It would make his day.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. What an amazing, wow, what a happy couple. Happy birthday. What a sweet and caring girlfriend. Amazing. To the Chicago Groyper with the girlfriend. Happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday from the cuck chair. I'll be over here. I'll just be over here. Happy birthday. Have a good one. Yeah. Happy for you. Good for you. Congratulations. So happy for you. You guys must be so happy together. Amazing. God bless you guys. I hope everything and more happens for you.
Shabbos Growiper sent $20. Been noticing an explosion of new Growiper. So many chats, so many spaces. Hoblet put my name on a list in the post-show space last night. He said I have to donate to the foundation, so here I am. Less than 3.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit suspicious of that. What is with all these new Groypers? Are they all real, or what is that?
Baby Bell Cheese Maxer sent $20. What is the connection between Thomas Massie and Jewish billionaire Jeff Yass?
I don't know exactly, but I know that Jeff Yass was very big behind keeping TikTok unbanned, and he seems to be something like a libertarian, but I'm not super familiar with those connections. He seems to be kind of a wild card, but he's got some suspicious connections, I'll say that much.
Deadass Tom sent $20. Cali Growipers. On June 2nd, go Tom Steyer for governor. Only one calling out super PACs and IPAC. Defeat Becerra and Hilton.
Yeah, maybe we'll get
Laura
involved there.
DB sent $20. What's up, Nick?
What's up?
Chef Off War sent $20. I was just gonna sit out 2026 midterms this year. But you are right, of course. Massie being attacked like this has filled me with rage. Straight ticket Democrat vote for me in
Hell
Michigan
yeah.
out of spite.
That's what we need to
LQ
hear.
Doom sent $20. Nicholas, can you give us a raise your right hand and repeat after me moment? P.S. for Mr. and Mrs. Fuentes, W. Son.
Hey, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Big Al
They'll
123 sent
appreciate that.
$20. Thanks for doing the show. I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Nat Crazy sent $20. What's the lore with Paul Gosar?
It's a long story. He's basically just he just cucked out. I mean, he was supporting us. I knew him. I knew his chief of staff. I knew his people. And then they just decided the pressure was too much and they totally betrayed us and they wanted nothing to do with us. And they just decided to stop fighting. I think his wife got mad at him. And, he was talking about retiring and then never did. So, yeah, he's just a coward.
Stealth Black sent $20. You know the globalists I talked to were talking about killing you, right? Oh yeah? Then what did you say?
Yeah. Then what did you say to them? You told them not to, right? Yeah, that's funny.
Non-Plus Ultra sent $30. Your show after CK died turned me onto the show. It really showed you seemed like more of a genuine person. Hi for what you do.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate
Douglas
that.
Kappa sent $20. Amy Dangerfield smoking cigs on Sneako's balcony in his t-shirt groiper.
No comment.
Dub sent $50.
on that.
Man, it's all so depressing. Between the goyim, feminism, and Jewish oligarchy, it's enough to turn a man into an alcoholic. Just pray harder, I guess. Love you. Goat
Well,
emoji.
it's not that serious, honestly.
Horseshoe Theory
But I
Optimist sent
appreciate it.
$25. Sneako had Dan, who has Sneako's sneaky link on his campaign, on his stream. Bazillion Sexlectics vindicated?
I don't honestly even think it's that. I don't even think that has anything to do with it. I think that Sneako, he likes to keep people happy. This is just a pattern of behavior. I think that's really got little to do with it.
Yappington 3 sent $100. Hope you're doing well, Nick. It must be mentally draining to deal with all this shit, but we hope you are doing okay. Plans for summer collection?
Yup, like I told you, there's going to be a summer collection. I think I've said that many times. Thank you for the big super chat. Yes, I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in
Duncan
there.
sent $20. The DOJ Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism announced the 15-city national awareness and
I
action
saw
tour to
that.
combat.
Yeah, we'll talk
Lord
about
sent
it tomorrow.
$50. I appreciate you for everything that you do and always being there for Yay. Do you plan on doing any streams on Kick? I'm waiting for the Nick on Kick takeover.
Yeah, maybe.
Catholic Roy % $20. My friend keeps telling me the Vatican is controlled by the Rothschilds and Jews. How would you argue against it?
Well, you're not making an argument. You're just saying something. So what would be the argument that is happening?
Bro-iping around sent $20. Another $20 to know what's in the Goy slop Jew bag.
I don't know what that means.
Bro-iping around sent $30. Okay, fine. How about $30 to know what's in the... ArkAJK sent $20. Am I educated guy? Have treated her well. Wheezed off. Weeks later she fucked a 20-yo realtor 4 times in 10 days and a lot. Yig.
Wow, that's crazy. Is that you saying that, or is that a quote from something? I don't know what, if that's a quote, I don't know what that's from, but yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. Your girl is going. You can't take it personally.
Wentest 2036 sent $20. Fine and Netanyahu both pushing to cut U.S. aid to Israel this week. Dark horse candidate to keep aid and maintain constraints?
No. I've explained it so many times, man.
Bro-iping around sent $50. Don't make me send $50 to find out what's... Nuclear Ballistic Roy % $20. Bona Beef Portillo's confirmed. Have you ever had Gel's Omo's pizza and it's...
Like, what are we
Roy
doing?
Mama Bear sent
What are we doing?
$25. Tonight was proof Trump was a GOP Trojan horse. We won't be number one until we're number 110. Need a third party.
Okay.
Would you start the AF party?
Okay, that, like, physically hurts.
Degenerate Soup sent $20. IPAC won the battle. How do we win the war? Force them to fight on multiple fronts and...
Okay.
Alim Sunshine 54 sent $50. Don't listen to anyone saying to shave. Anyone telling you to shave is an up or doesn't want you to mug as hard as possible.
Okay.
Facial hair such a W for you.
Thank you for telling me.
Diddy Sprinkles sent $50. Shout out to my brother. It's his birthday today. Too bad he's a Tucker Carlson superfag. I guess he just likes listening to blood guilt and hating Jews. I told him, it's too extreme, even for me. Smiley face emoji.
Very good. Well, okay. Why am I going to wish a happy birthday to my op, to one of my op's supporters? I hope it's not a happy birthday. He needs to learn to get with the program. Tucker is not our guy. So
Dylan's mind sent $20. Flew to Paris for a hug.
yeah, nice edit, dude. That edit was so good. I think I just love the song, but that was a great edit. I know Sneako didn't like it. Sneako didn't even like the video. He doesn't even care. But I liked both of those edits. The first one I replied to, the second one I replied to. That was so touching. How can you not? But, maybe it's different for me because it's my life. He's my friend. So I see all those old videos and I'm like, man, me and Sneak, we do go a long way back. We've been through a lot of stuff together, a lot of adventures. For me, I feel like life is like a TV show and or a play. And I like the idea that in the end, all the characters get together on stage and take a final bow. You know what I mean? That there's twists and turns in life and people let you down and things happen. But in the end, it's like what we have in common is that we're all here in this moment, experiencing these things together, enjoying or living life.
Oh yeah,
and so
did a good job.
I've been together with Sneako through all this nonsense for years. The cancellation, the censorship, getting disavowed by Congress, the club accost, the yay thing, many different episodes of that. And so it's like, how can you ever be done with somebody like that? Who else have I been to Spain with making Heil Hitler with Yay? Who else have I been to LA with running the Yay 24 campaign? Who else have I been to the club accost with playing Heil Hitler, getting banned from everything in Miami? You know what I mean?
He was so into the Yay 24 thing. Because he was Ye's campaign manager, he gets to play campaign manager. He gets to play pretend. I see.
It's just one of those things.
Makes a lot of sense.
So, Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever be done with Sneeko. People are saying it's gay. It's called friendship, bro. It's called friendship. It's called brothers. It's called brothers, bro. Don't say that's gay. Listen, I'm not going to fight you on a lot of that stuff, okay? If you want to say there's a lot of the stuff that I do gay, okay, potentially. But this is not one of those things. This is true friendship. This is true brotherhood, and there's nothing gay about that. Nothing gay about homies, real niggas, and yeah. So I thought that was a nice edit. I thought that was a nice montage.
Platonic
little tribute to the Sneeko Nick. It's such a funny duo too, because I'm like this short nerd. He's like this tall brown clown. You know, just seeing these videos of us like walking around Miami, doing all the different stuff. It's like a funny duo. So we're bros. But anyway, so nice job. Great edit. Yes. It's just like that song, We'll Be Brothers Forever. What happens to one of us happens to us together. And hasn't that been the way it's been for years? Yeah. Yep. Legendary friendship. Okay, but that's all. That's our last super chat. That's going to do it for me. Remember to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. I'm on the air Monday through Friday. As always, thank you to our top super chatters. Big, huge, special.
It would be much appreciated if y'all hit the like button on your way out. Anyhow, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Sorry about the connection issues there midway, and they're having to start a new stream. But anyway, appreciate the new watchers, and it's a pleasure to host the show. And until tomorrow, we'll catch you guys. Chill on the flip side. See you in the next one.